Alright, here we go again. Welcome back, shifters, light guardian streamers from across the world. Thank you so much for joining in with us once again. My name is Brendon, aka Skull Babylon, aka Wolf Shield, aka Mystic Spider-Man. What up? Follow me on Instagram. Thank you so much to help assist with the shift in consciousness. So thank you everyone for being here. We'll go over some basic introductions at the beginning of this to be able to give you guys some information about what to be able to expect from this broadcast, about what the project is all about. And of course, if you're in the live chats, for those of you on YouTube, if you guys can just drop in 1111, make sure that you guys can hear me okay. And the 1111s are already there. You guys are so perfect. You guys have been around long enough. You guys know how this works. Thank you so much, TamQ and Amanda. Cosmic Moon, welcome as well, and everybody else who is tuned into this. Whenever you are, wherever you are, be sure to check out the past recordings on MP3s at Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes, and of course all the videos at Skull Babylon on YouTube. And of course, just make it easy for yourself and go to live.paradigmshiftcentral.com to be able to find both. So like I said, what we're going to be doing here tonight for a team roundtable, I'll set a context for you guys. I'll give you guys some basic introductions, but within the concept of what it is that we're doing here, we're practicing having discussion, we're practicing having conversation, and the topics that we're putting onto the table tonight to be able to practice talking about are synchronicity and intuition. And so these are some very exciting and important topics. I am personally very excited to be able to talk about them and to be able to hold this space as a community for us to be able to practice talking about them. Before I even do that, I just want to be able to remind people that they are invited to be able to join on air. As the show gets rolling, we create momentum as we go, and right now there's myself and our new friend Ogana, who is tuned into the Google Hangout and is on air with us. But at the same time, I just want to be able to post the link into the YouTube chat right now to be able to invite more people to be able to join in on air. So if you're looking to be able to just, again, hang out with a cool group of people who are interested in shifting consciousness, expanding their minds, leveling themselves up within the game, please feel free to come on air. Again, it's totally chill. It's all just practice. It's a great way to be able to connect. So as we go into this, I just want to run through our standard routines and be able to invite our friend Ogana to be able to, normally we have like more people at the beginning, but we don't always, and it's totally okay, to be able to, I'm going to unmute her microphone, and she's gonna just quickly just make some noise with me and send some love out to all the people tuned in, and then Ogana will get to actually kind of introduce herself as we get more into the discussion. So Ogana, I'm just gonna pull up your microphone and just make this is what we do. We usually make some like wooing noises or like animal noises or just like "we love you fam, go Star Team" or something like that, whatever comes to mind. So I'll be doing it with you. So, and everybody listening on this, you guys can receive it and you guys can put it out there at the same time. So Ogana, I'm just pulling up your microphone, so join me in making some noises and sending some love to the people tuned into this. So go right ahead. So we love you, team. Whoop whoop whoop. Yeah, go team. Aloha. Woo. There's so many of us right now. Woo.
We are here.
We are here. Yes, exactly. As where there's two, there is many. So awesome. Sweet. Thank you, Ogana, so much for being here. I'm just going to put your mic back down for a second. We'll pass the talking stick to you shortly as we get into the conversation. Again, let's get more people in here. That's an invitation as much as it is a command to be able to get more people in here, because that's really what a big part of this broadcast and a part of the context for these circles is about, to be able to give people a chance to perhaps even go outside of their comfort zone and to be able to, like I said, practice having these discussions. I'm more than happy to if it was just me on air, I'd be more than happy just to be able to babble on for you guys and to be able to share with you what my thoughts are on synchronicity and intuition. But again, what's really fun for me is when we are here as a team and you guys are here practicing having that discussion back and forth. So just a quick overview of what to be able to expect going into this. And again, just like the bigger Paradigm Shift Central project, Paradigm Shift Central is a real world interactive game to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. And the way how we play that game is by leveling ourselves up, by creating conscious media such as through these broadcasts and such as YouTube videos, our Instagrams, questions, journals and conscious articles through the main website, and by creating physical paradigm shift communities where we are, by going out there and taking real world actions such as things like free hugs, random acts of kindness, having conversations with people, planting those seeds. Those are all very important things that, again, help accelerate the shift. So thank you again, everyone, for being a part of this. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out more at the main websites, and also be sure to follow me on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man. Real quick thing, just in terms of some updates for the project, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who's been supporting on Patreon as we begin the new month here on November 1st. The donations are processing right now, and I want to give a huge thumbs up to everyone because we've really like calculated some awesome patterns for this last month, and we've actually had over 45 new signups to the Patreon within this last month. So thank you again, everyone, for being a part of that. And as you can see on screen, the current estimated total right now is 149 active Patreon donators with an estimated total of 904 earnings. Again, I say estimated right now because the donations are processing. That number will solidify in the next couple days. Plus, it will keep going up because more people are going to be joining in. Again, the team Patreon, those donations support this in a huge way to be able to help not only support myself as the director and facilitator, as the artist behind this project, doing it as my full-time devotion, but again, as the Patreon grows, and hold me to this, guys, and this is the exciting part, we are working our way up to the point where we will be making over 10K a month. Like, that is a goal that I've had in mind for quite a long time, and there's a lot of work that I've been doing on myself and a lot of like better tactics that we've been developing as a team, and it's going to keep going up. So if you want to add your support to that with a monthly micro donation of just $3 to $5 or $3 to $10 is the asking monthly micro donation, be sure to check out patreon.com/Brendon Culliton. We'll try refreshing later on in the broadcast. Just last time we did it like crashed the broadcast, so I gotta be careful about that. But again, if you enjoy the content that we are providing for free, the value we are providing to the community, then be sure to check out the Patreon. And we got a lot more that we're producing through the community, such as our regular Sunday meditations at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the videos that I'm putting out, the collaborations that we're doing as a community, the regular inspirational posts that I'm putting up on Instagram, and so much more. So thank you again, everyone. And of course, when you sign up, you get your shifter booster kit, which comes with your shift buttons, and each shift button has the Paradigm Shift Central website on the rim. These are more than just fun things to wear. They are tools to be able to use to help evoke synchronicity. We're going to be talking about that tonight, and to be able to help build conscious community in combination. The whole value of the kit is over $100. Quick thing I'll just mention right here, then one other thing, and then we'll get right into the discussion. For those of you who signed up for Patreon, like, now that I have your attention, if there's a lot of you who are listening right now who are signed up for Patreon, just want to give you guys some quick information. The way how the Patreon works is that ideally, we want people to continue donating as long as they can. And within this model, it's also very flexible. So if you're signed up for Patreon, and if at any point you need to put your donation on hold, your financial situation changes for whatever reason, life is life, it's totally cool, just be sure to let us know. And it's totally cool. But again, the model is that, like, as long as more people are coming in and people are continuing to donate as long as they can, then that is a huge boost for the community. When we all give a little, we all give a lot. So thank you again, everyone, for being here and for helping lead by example in terms of what is possible as a community to be able to provide value for everyone at such an elite level is what it is that we're creating here. And there's a lot of value that it is that we got behind us. So thank you again, everyone. Other thing I just want to mention, again, if you haven't already yet, be sure to check out the team Discord chat. We got a lot of discussions happening there throughout the week between our broadcasts. We got different discussion channels within there. We got the region chat, so you can connect with shifters where you are. It's still fairly just fresh. We're building up momentum. There's a lot more that I got planned for the Discord, but be sure to check that out at tinyurl.com/paradigm shift chat, and the link is in the YouTube info as well. And add your introduction, say hello, connect with the team. That is what we're building here. We're building a team, we're building community. So awesome. Other thing I just want to mention, the next, we have our Sunday meditation. The next one coming up will be November 3rd, 4th. And after that, this is the exciting thing. The next Sunday is actually going to be November 11th. So what I have planned to do is that, since we're already doing a meditation that day, the synchronicity of it all, we're actually going to plan like almost like a special like an 11:11 activation meditation is kind of be what we'll promote it as. And so just keep your eyes open for that, because that's going to be coming your way. And yeah, again, that will be broadcasted here through live.paradigmcentral.com, Skull Babylon on YouTube. And yeah, just keep your ears open for that. But again, be sure to check out the past broadcasts, the past meditations as well. The last one we did, the guided Sasquatch meditation, went really well. If you haven't checked that one, go check it out. And again, the past broadcast, the Destiny School, which you did on Sasquatch as well, was really cool. I'm happy to be an ambassador for the Sasquatch people. There was something else I was gonna, oh yeah, this is a really cool idea. I want to encourage you, for those of you who are watching right now, for those of you who are like not in the broadcast, if you're watching this and you're on Instagram, please feel free to use the tactic where you literally film your screen for an Instagram story, or even like a full 1-minute video, and then post that to your Instagram and link people to my profile on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man, and let them know that we are live, and let them know that they can tune in through my bio link. So as a team, guys, this is where the social media tactics comes into play. You guys can literally help us grow in that sense. You can not only just help us grow, but help invite more people to the value that it is that we're creating as a community. Last thing I'll mention, if you haven't already yet and you're looking for more ways to be able to support, individual donations through PayPal are always appreciated, as well as the Quest item shop, any purchases through there at questitemshop.com, which you can find your shifter booster kits and light guardian crystals, and as well as the t-shirts, which again, these aren't just shirts, guys. These are tools. These are tools to be able to help change reality. There's some powerful power behind symbols. So yeah, let's get right into this discussion. And again, shout out to everyone in the YouTube chat. I see you guys here. We still just have Ogana and myself in the Hangout. So again, inviting more people to be able to join the Hangout. I'll be very surprised if it does just turn out to be me and Ogana. If it is, that's okay. But again, I really want to be able to invite you guys to be here, if you're able to join in this discussion. We've created this space for us as a team. And again, as much as it is just about sharing information, it's about being able to practice talking about it, because that's a big part of what this project is. We practice having these discussions on air. We integrate the wisdom and the experience and the knowledge that we learn through the discussions, and then we ripple the discussions. We bring the shift with us out into our communities, out into the world, out into conversations that we have with strangers, and so forth and so on. So thank you again, everyone. Amanda saying she loves her shifter booster kit. Thank you, Amanda, for your support on Patreon. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's get right into the discussion. We're going to keep this broadcast literally just at 2 hours. We're going to cap it, so I'm going to work within that time frame. And yeah, let's get right into this. So let me just set the context here. Imagine yourself sitting around the table with us here as a team, and the bigger picture of what it is that we are doing. We are coming together as a team, yet we are seeing ourselves as one soul that is remembering itself through the discussions, through us being mirrors for one another. And we are here to hold each other accountable to each other's growth. We are here to be able to inspire each other, and here to be able to bring that inspiration out further to the world around us. So awesome. All right, so I know we got a couple other people looking to join. Again, if you do need to, make sure that you have the Google Hangout app installed on your browser. You can also get it for your mobile device as well. It could take you a minute just to get it set up, but once you're ready, you'll be ready to join. So link is posted in the YouTube chat, and you guys can jump in. So we got a couple more people who are getting themselves ready. So synchronicity, intuition, two very important topics within the shift in consciousness. So I'm going to do what I can here to drop into gamma state, and I'm going to talk a little bit about synchronicity, and then we're going to kind of segment these. So we'll talk about synchronicity first, and then we'll talk about intuition. They do overlap, but let's just kind of focus on one, and we'll kind of naturally segue into the others as well. So let me just get a drink here. And Ogana, you can get ready to talk about synchronicity as well. And for those of you who may be watching this on Facebook, geez, I completely forgot about people on Facebook. No offense, Facebook. Be sure to jump over to the YouTube link, at youtube.com Skull Babylon. You'll see the info in the title for the video. And yeah, again, there's barely anybody watching on Facebook, so thank you. That means that everyone's already here on YouTube already. So thank you, awesome guys. All right. Synchronicity. First of all, when I said I was dropping into gamma, what I mean by that, we're going to be you guys are going to get more familiar with the whole brainwaves and everything like that. And this is just quick side note. Allow me to just put this in here right here. Right now this whole month I'm actually taking part in a self mastery class with my friend Nathaniel Solis, who is an awesome coach and an awesome teacher, and I'm investing in his coaching as part of a program to really help people level up as an investment for myself, but also for the community. So a lot of things that I'm going to be learning from him, I'm going to be sharing with you guys as well. One of the things is related to the brain waves and the brain states, and you would have even heard me talking about this last dream class. So I'm just going to hit upon this real quick. The gamma state. The gamma state is like basically it can be basically thought of as the flow state. And most people don't even really recognize it too much. Most of the time we're in beta state. We're just kind of like really like action reaction, just kind of like always surviving. That's kind of what the beta state was created for, is surviving out in nature, to be able to like recognize prey when you need to, or like act fast when you got to. The gamma state is a very, very interesting state, because it's like getting into the centered space within your heart and allowing words, allowing ideas, allowing the all-win, allowing creativity, allowing consciousness to just naturally flow through you. So I mean, even since the beginning of this broadcast, I've already been in gamma state, and the gamma state comes from like a confidence and a clarity with oneself. And so as we do these broadcasts, I'm inviting you guys to just like be aware of like what it feels like when you're in gamma state, where you're not having to think so much as you're just a being, and you allow that wisdom through the topics that we're talking about to naturally come through. So as I anchor myself into gamma state here, discussing the topic of synchronicity, and I'll just talk for a minute, and then we'll pass the talking stick over to Ogana, and then we'll have more people jump in as we go. So synchronicity, one of my favorite topics. Okay, if I had to describe synchronicity in a very small way before getting into a big way, to me, synchronicity, I've said this before, and this is kind of like the key thing. Synchronicity is testament to the fact that we exist beyond our regular linear perception of time, is one way that I think of it. The fact that synchronicity happens is fact or testament or evidence to the idea that reality is not structured in the logical way that we normally commonly think of it as, although I don't even like using the word logical, because for me logical is just like a matter of perception. What may be logical to one may be illogical to another, but the logic on the other side may be logical if you understand where you're coming from. So the common perception that we have is that, you know, things happen with this natural order, a cause and effect. Things are just like this naturally tumbling cascade of cause and effect moving throughout time. One thing happens to another, chemical reaction. The future is kind of like this mathematical equation that's just like exploding orgasmically onto itself. That's how some people think the universe works, and it does, but that's not just how it works. Synchronicity relates to this idea that events already exist in the future, and they kind of reverse engineer themselves into the present. And we talked about this a bit even in the past team roundtable that we did about time. And so synchronicity is when two things happen to meet at the right place at the right time. And the reason behind those two things meeting can be for a higher purpose, can be for the purpose of like shifting consciousness, and they can be for the purpose of, again, like those two things can be a person and another person. They can be a person and witnessing something. They can be a person and a symbol. Obviously it's always going to be a person, right? Maybe not, maybe it won't always be a person, but there's always an observer, right? Because synchronicity is always relative to the observer, it would seem. And so there's like the idea that synchronicity is a word that we use, and when you think about it, like synchronicity, like sync, chrono, and then nicity. So chrono, synchronicity, we're talking about time, where the word relates to the concept of time, and it relates to synchronization. So it relates to the idea of two things happening to show up at the same time as each other, so that an event can either unfold, or at the same time, synchronicity can also be this idea of, this is where we kind of expand the definition of multiple observers tapping into a similar field and a similar frequency, and then becoming aware of the fact that they are. For example, a synchronicity could also be me putting up a post on my Instagram and writing out something that was just natural to my heart in the moment. And then somebody reading that will be like, holy crap, that is exactly what I needed to hear. That's exactly what resonates with me. That's exactly what I'm going through right now. What a synchronicity. And so again, synchronicity is like tapping into the field and the natural flow of reality, whether or not you are actually conscious of it or unconscious of it. And I'll just say this, and then I'll pass it to Agana. To me, the big thing with synchronicity, and this was actually super inspiring, is that once I understood what synchronicity was, and I understood that it was happening regardless of like whether or not I was paying attention, but the more that I paid attention, the more I could actually meet it halfway, use it as a means of communication between myself and my higher self, and to work with it to be able to help build community, to be able to help shift consciousness. And so I'll get into more of this later, but like when I'm doing the free hugs things and I'm giving out people shift buttons, that is me doing that with courage and confidence, understanding that synchronicity is in play, that synchronicity is happening. And the synchronicities are me meeting every single person who I will give a free hug to and give a button to, are me being in a certain place for people to witness me, for people to see me, and then for that to impact the reality. And so again, it's like this basic idea that if I'm out there doing free hugs, there's going to be someone else who's going to go from like point A to B to C to D to E to E to F to G, and then lo and behold, they're at the right place at the right time to see me and to meet me and to do free hugs, and for me to give them a shift button, and for me to invite them to the Paradigm Shift Central Project, and for them to tune into this broadcast, theoretically, right? That's what happens. That idea is that event, this is the last thing I'll say right here. That event of me and them meeting, you can almost think of it as having like a gravitational weight to it, a gravitational pull to it. And that's kind of what I feel synchronicity relates to. It opens us up to this bigger understanding of time. And it's basically understanding that the moment of us meeting for that significance already existed in the future. And both of us were being pulled towards that path, not in a way that's like kind of like against our will, but in a way that will happen when we're in our flow. And so at the same time, like you could always jump ship on synchronicity, theoretically. Like I could be like, okay, I'm going to go do free hugs. I'm going to do this. And then I could have the free will to be like, no, I don't want to do this. I changed my mind. I'm going home. Right. And then the universe will just be like, oh, okay. Well, like we had something awesome lined up for you, but that's all right. We're not going to take it personally. And if you made that choice that you don't want it to happen that time, but maybe it's something significant that is meant to happen, the good news with synchronicity is that it will come up again. That is like a very, very interesting idea, that if you're, you might like run into someone once, and then you can just kind of have that feeling where it's like, it's like, okay, if I'm meant to run into them again, it will happen. And then when it happens, you're just like, whoa, okay, like that's interesting, right? So it's like the universe playing at this higher dimensional level and slowly pushing things into sequence, allowing things to unfold for this purpose of its own divine remembrance. And so there's a lot of different ways in which synchronicity can occur. Sometimes it's novel. Sometimes, actually, it's always novel in a sense. And novelty is like the source that fuels the universe. And I really encourage you to go listen to like Terrence McKenna and what he talks about, like novelty. But again, novelty is kind of like that spontaneity, that creativity, that juice sort of thing. And so the synchronicities, they can be there to be novelty, to evoke novelty, and to give us that inspiration to start looking at the bigger picture and to start being like, whoa, like, okay, like maybe things aren't quite as linear. Maybe events occur in the future first, and then we're kind of like tethering ourselves up to them. And if we already know that they exist in the future, even if we don't know, we don't have to know what the actual event is. We just have to know that there are events. We can open our heart. We can use our intuition, which we'll talk about later, to be able to place ourselves in that flow, to be able to meet those synchronicities and to be mindful of them as they appear, to be able to witness them. And then when the universe is like, oh, you're getting it, you're seeing it, you're paying attention, more synchronicities occur. And so this is where it gets into this idea that, you know, is everything a synchronicity? Maybe. If anything, it would be the idea that there are bigger synchronicities than others. There are certain events that hold a stronger gravity to them. But the idea, and this is the last thing I'll pass to Agana. The idea is that the universe is always in communication with us. And if we can hold the perception of the seer, S-E-E-R, the seer, then we can see that. We can see the language of the universe. And this is where synchronicity, not just in today's day and age when you're doing free hugs downtown and it works, you can do it too. You can build the community, you can build your paradigm shift communities. But back in the day, synchronicity would also serve the purpose of people communicating with like animal totems and animal spirits. You know, like you be out there in the woods or something like that, and suddenly you just kind of like have this inkling, and you'd like look to your left, and then like this freaking eagle is just like, and it just like swoops down next to you, and you're just like, opens up your heart, and you're just like, whoa, like that was a message for me. There was a significance to that meant something to me. The eagle is like a guardian that has a certain meaning to me. I am reminded of that. I am brought back into that presence. And so synchronicities, and again, we'll talk about this as well too, that there's a whole 1111, the number synchronicities. And I'll tell you a bit about how you guys can use synchronicity to program your reality. It's not just a thing that just happens. You can create your synchronicities by programming your realities with intention and symbols. This is a very powerful idea. We'll get into that a little bit later. So there's a lot more I want to talk about, but I want to be able to hear what Ogana has to say. And Ogana, thank you for your patience and for being up at 5 a.m. where you are. And Ogana, I'm going to pull up your microphone. And again, as more people join, we'll invite them to the discussion. And again, thank you everyone for being here. I'll keep an eye on the live chat as we're doing this. Okay, cool. So Ogana, I'm going to pull up your microphone. And as I do, you can just give an introduction, say who you are, say your name, say where you're tuned in from. And if you want to just introduce yourself more than that, you can. And just from there, you can go into talking a little bit about what synchronicity means to you. And again, this is all just practice. So, Ogana, I'm pulling up your microphone now. And when you're ready, you can say hello to all the people tuned in right now. And welcome.
Hi.
Awesome.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go right ahead. The talking stick is in your
So,
hands.
yeah, I would just want to thank you. Actually, I didn't want you to stop because you're channeling. I think that when you say gamma, I think it's flow, it's kind of like
Yeah.
channeling, it's like my higher self.
Channeling is a word for it as well. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. And so I really resonate with that because I practice that, and it's I did had a course it was called sleep medicine. It was just like a one semester in college, and I was introduced to the brain waves through that. And then I learned more about them later on, about like, unlocking the full powers of your mind and the subconscious mind and all these things. Um, so yeah, my story with it's of course, everyone on this virtual path has millions of stories to share about synchronicities in their lives and how they awaken through synchronicities and through divine intervention. But I feel like that's another word for synchronicity for me. It's divine intervention. Um, so yeah, introduction about me. I'm so excited about the topic that I just want to talk about it. But I'm in Saudi Arabia. I'm 33, going 34. And in 2011, it's when things started happening in my life where I'm like, what am I doing? Is this what I really want to do in my life? I was working in a medical field in like the best hospital in the country, but I left left the job, which was a very well-paying job, and I just, I left the social status and everything, and I just locked myself in my room and waited for, answers to show up. And it, sure enough, it did. And like, there's a lot of like, a lot of details that I don't want to mention now. But yeah, I was led through one divine intervention to another into awakening fully and realizing, you know what, I'm a soul and I'm having this human experience, and what do I want to do? I have this freedom to create my reality and co-create with the universe and have fun. Don't have to do things that I don't want to do, really. I mean, yes, we have to discipline ourselves and work hard and all these things to for things to come to fruition, but we don't really have to kill ourselves doing it. We can still enjoy our lives and have a more holistic, lifestyle while doing it. So more about synchronicity for me, I feel like there's a again another word that I use for it is divine intervention, where it's like your soul is or your higher calling is trying to pull you towards a certain choice that you make, and then these choices, they're going to lead you into a certain direction, and this direction is going to lead you closer and closer to your truth, and through to ultimately into self-realization that we are all one singularity, that this whole universe is not a coincidence. Everything is amazingly just like the symbols that you're wearing, and like the flower of life. It's just beautifully arranged in the sacred geometry. That's exactly how our lives are. Like they are being arranged in a divine, magical way. So yeah, that's what I want to say about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Ogana. That was great. And thank you again for recently connecting to the project. It's great to be able to have you here, and I look forward to being able to talk more and collaborate. So awesome.
Yay.
And I know, and yeah, no, I think what you were saying there, like a divine intervention, I think that's a very powerful way to be able to phrase it, because it's just kind of like oftentimes, divine intervention, we usually sometimes we save that term for when it's like something like really serious, or like someone like it could be something that like is almost like a life or death situation. But we have to, and maybe like the word intervention might be almost too strong. Not to say you're wrong. I'm just kind of exploring this idea, but it's almost like a divine collaboration in a sense, where
Oh,
sometimes it's not even intervening. It's more just kind of like gently pull, like gently guiding you in the right direction, right? Where like you're like you can almost imagine we as humans in our adorable state, we're just kind of wandering around through this reality, and sometimes it's like we're sleepwalking and we're just kind of like, oh, I'll just kind of go this way for no particular reason. And then divine collaboration or intervention, as we're saying in synchronicity, will just kind of be like our guides, just kind of like having our hands on the back of our shoulders and just be like, turn this way, like, ever so slightly, like in a way that we may not even notice, like it may not be obvious to us that it's even happened, right? And that's kind of the magic of synchronicity, is that like sometimes there's a lot of synchronicities that have probably happened to us throughout our lives that we didn't even see, that we didn't even realize, yet we're still in play, we're still a part of like this bigger formula, this equation, this story that's happening. I know. I just want to give a mention. I know I saw Amanda jump into the hangout a second ago. So if Amanda jumps back in, we'll get her back in. And I know a couple people are still looking to join. So again, guys, just working. We'll keep playing this with this. We'll keep holding space for you guys to jump in as we go. But yeah, in terms of synchronicities, again, Ogana, what are some examples of synchronicities that you can think of off the top of your head, no pressure, that have either happened to you, or maybe just ones that other people might experience, and just even thinking for the audience who may not be entirely familiar with the concept of synchronicities. You know, maybe there's some people where after this discussion they'll be like, oh crap, you know, like synchronicities have been happening in my life and I just haven't been seeing them. It's kind of the hidden in plain sight idea. But yeah, Ogano, just kind of work with me here and I'll help think of some too. What are some examples of synchronicities that we can think of that happen within this reality?
Like in terms of my own story.
Yeah, your story or just in general, either or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, like one of the things that I experienced was getting like asking like as just thinking to in my head like no one is hearing me, no one is around. I didn't even speak it out loud, but I would be like, I wanna eat a falafel sandwich, you know? And then dad walks in and he's like, I got falafel sandwiches for everyone. I'm like, I didn't even speak it out loud or write it down. Sometimes, in order for you to manifest something, you need to write it down or something. But I'm like, what? I was just thinking of that. I think that's one of the more like fun, things that happen.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good example. You're right. Like there's a lot of these like very, again, novel and almost humorous synchronicities that we can have. And again, like the synchronicity concept, it covers a relatively decent sized bubble in terms of the things that can happen in this reality. As I was kind of saying, sometimes synchronicity, we use the word synchronicity to explain when two people are like thinking the same thing at the same time and they say the same thing at the same time. Like, I mean, here's another example, right? Like just if you're talking to a friend through chat, this has happened to me a bunch of times, and something will come up and you will literally type the exact same message to each other, or like the same phrase. There'll be some particular reason, or it'll be like a joke or something, but you'll type the exact same thing, and then you'll both see the messages come up at the same time, and you're just like, what the frig? Like what? Like how does that what is happening there? So sometimes synchronicities, we can almost think of them as like glitches in the matrix. Sometimes people kind of use that phrase in a general sense, and this is where I guess you can almost start to bridge the idea of synchronicities and deja vus kind of fitting within the same concept. Because again, I feel like not to get fully into the tunnel of deja vus here, the rabbit hole of deja vus, but again, deja vus in itself is kind of like this idea of like the soul remembering a future event that hasn't happened yet. So it's like, it's this idea that the ways how synchronicity works is that, we're here, we're in the present moment, this is where our breath is, but we are already connected to those future events. Like we have tendrils, like branches, like tentacles shooting out of our body in an energetic sense, and in a sense that is like not just on the 3D plane, but in a 5D sense that expands beyond time. It's like we are a neuron in a neural network, and so in that sense, these other cross points where the neural branches intersect and have nodes and everything like that, those exist, those are already there, those are already before us, yet connected to us now. And so again, like other big examples of synchronicities would be the whole concept of people meeting someone who they eventually end up being in a relationship with. And whether you're contributing the concept of like soulmates or twin flames or anything like that, that's relative as well, because I definitely feel that's in many cases, those never happen outside of the concept of synchronicity. In any cases, if you have this contract with someone that you're gonna like be in a relationship with, and essentially, I mean, this is again kind of like a big idea, but any person who you are in a relationship with, on a soul level, you've created a contract to be in that relationship with them, even if it's for a little time, even if it's for a long time, even if it's for a great time, even if it's for a bad, quote unquote, bad time, right? Because that's like actually still there for your growth is a big thing. We can talk about that in a bigger concept. But again, thinking about the idea of, for anyone here, just thinking about like, for people that you have been in a relationship with, if you've been in a relationship at this point in your life, or if you've been in one, none, many, or whatever, that's totally fine. Even just to relate to this concept to like friends as well. You can think about those times where it's just like, wow, okay, like how did I meet that person? Like was it very peculiar? Was it almost seemingly rare? Was it us being at the right place at the right time? Was it me kind of being like, hey, I should go to that thing today with no intention of meeting someone, and then lo and behold, that person happens to be there, and then you run into them. And maybe the first time you run into them, it might not even click. There might not even be there might be some heart twangs or something like that. There might be a general feeling. And then after that, you just kind of let it slide. And then lo and behold, the universe brings you into each other's path again. And it might happen again. And then eventually you're just like, like what is going on here, right? So again, it's kind of this idea that this is a big idea, and this relates to synchronicity. If something is meant to happen, it will happen, I guess is kind of the idea. Or if something is meant for you, it will come to you. Like this idea is really huge and really powerful, and I think it can alleviate a lot of anxiety that a lot of people experience within their perception of linear reality. But it's basically this idea that if something is meant for you, you will not miss it, kind of thing. And so like if there is that person who you kind of have that crush on, and you're like, ooh, like maybe we'll get a chance to be together, maybe I hope, right? And then you kind of sit back and you kind of like let the universe just like naturally play out this course, and then lo and behold, that feeling that you had in your heart was actually like you feeling the future, was you feeling the future events that in a non-linear sense are happening, have happened, happening parallel, all is happening now. And then basically again, like just you feel it, and then eventually it arrives, eventually it comes to you. And so again, like tying this into synchronicity, it's a very powerful idea to just kind of allow synchronicity to be our ally. Like that is such a huge idea. And again, that's where for me as a person who lives my life as a shifter, I see it that way. I see synchronicity as my ally. I whenever I go do free hugs and give out shift buttons downtown, or even if I'm just out and about on town, maybe just riding the bus, I'm always looking for those moments that can be synchronized with. And again, and this is the key thing, this is really important, and then I'll pass the talk and stick around, and we have Amanda in here as well. I feel synchronicity, some things in synchronicity will literally show up on your metaphysical doorstep. Like there's no avoiding it. It'll be like special delivery, here you go, and you open the door and you're just like, ah. And sometimes it's a good surprise, sometimes it's a less than pleasant surprise. But other synchronicities are actually only going to happen when we kind of like use that free will to meet the universe halfway, to go out of our comfort zone, to intentionally extend our branches. And that in itself like is the beauty of it. It is the synchronicity of it. So you can think of like the future as literally shooting these branches back through the past. And these branches are like signals that are just like waiting for some other branch to be able to link up with them. And so those signals will just like fly through quantum space. And then where you are, you're equally capable of shooting branches out where you are, shooting tendrils. And these tendrils are intentions. These tendrils are actions. And so what you're doing when you shoot those out is eventually your tendrils and the tendrils of that event cross paths, and they link. And then when they do that, it's like a bolt of lightning shoots through it, right? Like when you think about the way we see, like that's the thing, like I'm not just making this up, right? We see this pattern in nature. You literally see it with lightning, obviously. Like when you see lightning, it happens so fast to our eyes, and it just appears as if it's just like a single bolt, and it just goes boom, and that's it, and it just happens. When you slow lightning down, you actually see like a one of the mysteries of the universe revealed. You see a pattern that you can relate to how synchronicity works. Because what's happening within a lightning bolt is that the particles are being like ignited within the air, and it shoots out like a branch, and before it even makes contact with the ground, you can actually see, if you watch lightning in slow-mo, it will shoot like out from the sky. And does it come up from the ground? I feel like it comes up from the ground too sometimes, I don't know. I have to double check this, but well, but in a way it does. Let me explain. But the charge coming from the sky will shoot down like tree roots, like a branch, and it will shoot itself out. This is how the universe works. This is really key, and this is how synchronicity works. It will shoot itself out not in one single path, but in hundreds of paths. Let's just say, for the sake of lightning, like 500 or 50. I don't know. It's relative, right? And what it's doing when it shoots out these paths, it's looking for something to connect with. In this case, it's looking for the ground. And in this case, it will find it because the ground is unavoidable in this case. But when it's doing it, it's shooting out all of these possible ways of crossing paths with something that will create a connection with. And so what happens is that it will shoot through the air, and if you look at it in slow-mo, you see all these little tiny lightnings, like they're thin, they're not fully ignited, and you'll see them kind of stretching out through the sky like a tree branch, like roots. And then what you'll see is one single branch of those lightning strikes, like one of the lightning branches, the lightning flashes or whatever, like one of the lightning branches, the first one to hit the ground, that is the one that ignites the charge, and that is the lightning that we see. Like once that connection is made, then it creates a current, and then it goes boom, and then an event unfolds, ignition sparks, a new reality is created. And so we have to think of synchronicity as working in a similar way, where the future reality is shooting itself back into the past like a lightning bolt, like a tree branch, where it's expanding into all of these possible ways in which you can connect with it. And so as long as you're putting out your branches, then one of your branches will connect with one of the branches there, and then boom, ignition, event, synchronicity occurs. And so, like, again, it's just like really cool to be able to be aware of kind of what is happening on like a quantum metaphysical side of things. And and just how, again, we can be like the lightning bolt from our end of things. Like, we can send out the signals from where we are. It's naive to literally just sit back and wait for the synchronicities to come to you. I mean, truth behold, if you were to just sit in your room all day, how many synchronicities would come to you? Probably less than if you were to go out and about. Now, lo and behold, this is a trippy thing. Synchronicities still occur within the digital space, within the digital dimension. And this is a really trippy thing. And I'll just say here, and I'll pass it over to Amanda, we have to keep in mind that, like guys, we are already dealing with multiple dimensions here. Like, this is a side topic, but the fact that we have technology in our hands, everyone has a device, everyone has like smartphones and everything like that. Like, we already have all of these basic natural psychic abilities and infinite ways of being able to communicate that are in itself another dimension, a digital dimension. And yet, even within this digital dimension, synchronicities still occur. And so it's weird to think about the idea of like branches flowing through cyberspace, through digital space, but lo and behold, it happens. It happens with media that we put out. It happens with posts that we put out. It happens with broadcasts that we're doing right now, where somebody's going to stumble upon this and be like, whoa, this is exactly what I was looking for. And so again, it's kind of like this thing that when we just us saying that is almost testament to the idea of being like, this is what I was looking for. There was some intention there, meaning if there was an intention, there were branches, and then lo and behold, their branches met our branches, and then boom, realization, ignition, synchronicity happened. And again, it's just like, was there a possibility of that not happening? Perhaps, but if it was meant to happen, then it was just going to happen eventually. And this is where, like, why it's really powerful to think about us being facilitators for synchronicity, and why it's important for us to always make a routine and a habit to put our inspiration out there, to put our message out there, because there are going to be some people who aren't ready to receive it yet. They're just like in a different space. And so they might miss it the first couple times. Like, we might put out these awesome signals, but they just might not be connecting with it. And then, so if we put it out and they miss it that first time, and then we never put it out again, we're kind of like it's kind of like, it's just like, oh, like there's a missed opportunity there. But if we're putting out our signal again, if we're putting out that post, if we're putting out that connection, if we're putting our heart out there, if we're going downtown and doing free hugs, then that person who might have missed it, quote unquote, last time, can actually have that second opportunity to meet it again. And so this is where, like, we're as the universe, we're literally looking to be those lightning bolts, to be that connection between the sky and the ground that sends a signal, that sends a spark of light. And you can think of that, like, that lightning bolt as like lightning bolt. Sorry, that was a LARP reference. You can think of that lightning bolt as awareness, as consciousness igniting, because sometimes that can happen with a synchronicity where you'll be in a place and a synchronicity will happen. Maybe it's just like an 11:11 thing, or if it's like your song on the radio, or if it's like your friend contacting you or running into someone downtown, and it will literally send like an energetic electrical signal through your body. And like, that's powerful, right? Like that's kind of like this testament to the idea that like we are like these like electric energetic beings, and so we're here to literally ignite each other. And yeah, there's some other stuff I want to say later about like activation sensations and how that, like, the spine tingling sensation, of what that means, like what it actually means, and how to ride that, how to utilize that, how to activate it. And we'll tie that in with intuition a little bit later. But yeah, so those are just some thoughts I had. I just want to be able to invite Amanda, but at the same time, Ogana, did you have anything that you just wanted to either say in the moment before we pass the talking stick to Amanda? I'll give you a chance first, if there's any just thoughts that came through while listening to me babble.
No, that was just amazing. I love the metaphor of the lightning. I felt it because that's what I feel when synchronicities happen. I feel it in my body, like it's like
Yes. Yeah, totally, right? We do. That's exciting. Cool. Okay.
that's all.
Ogana, we'll pass the talking stick over to Amanda. Is there anything else you want to say at this moment?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, cool.
Go,
Awesome.
Amanda.
Go, Amanda. Okay. Amanda, we'll pull the talking stick up for you. And I think is that Joel who's in the hangout? Joel, that's you? Okay, cool. Awesome. Thanks, man. All right, we'll pass the talking stick over to Joel in a second, and we'll make sure the audio is coming through. Amanda, I'm just going to pull up your microphone. Thanks for joining. Amanda, can you just say hello and make sure we can hear you okay?
Hey, are things working now?
Yeah, things are sounding good. Awesome. Amanda, welcome back. I'll pass the talking stick right over to you, and you can just do a very quick introduction in whatever format. Hello, where you're from, and from there you can add your voice to the discussion of synchronicity. So, Amanda, welcome.
Hey guys. Yeah, this is a great topic. I was really excited when you said we were going to talk about this. So yeah, I'm, from Oregon, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, and I'm a Virgo, doing my thing over here. Um, so, what we're talking about here is all about energy. Like, pretty much what we're always talking about is about, transfers of energy. And what I keep being drawn back to is, uh, I keep thinking about the Celestine prophecy, and I don't know if you guys have gotten into it. It's a really good book. Um, and there's the 9 insights, and what how it all starts out is this guy's like, I'm having all these synchronicities. It's weird. I feel like I have to go on this like adventure and whatnot, as it always begins. The hero wants to take an adventure, and so he's basically throughout his journey learning how to control his energy and how to accept or receive and allow energy, as well as figure out what he's putting out there. And what we're talking about here a lot is like what we're putting out there. And in those synchronicities, that's kind of where that all comes to fruition, as we put it out there and then it shoots back down to us, as you say, like a lightning bolt. And this does go hand in hand with intuition, because we're using that energy to bring us into intuition. And what's crazy is it can actually be used with everything around us. Like, you can find synchronicities in nature, in, like you said, technology. That's one thing that I think a lot of people are having a hard time with right now. And we're all kind of dealing with it. But it's like this whole thing where we're at odds with the idea of this technology being a part of ourselves. And we, I guess, created it, you know? So, anyways, getting back to synchronicities, let me look up what I wanted to actually say. So, when it comes to our evolution, our conscious evolution, we absolutely have to keep our eyes open for these synchronicities. They are everywhere, and they can be very subtle. They can be super obvious, which, I mean, you all have your experiences, I'm sure. I have my own, where you're just like, wow, that's some obvious synchronicity right there. That's crazy. Um, you know, it just, it's all a part of this whole give and take of energy. And when it comes down to it, once we can master that and once we can really recognize it, we can start mastering our energy, like you talk about all the time, Brendon, of mastering ourselves. I'm trying. We're all trying. It's hard. But you know, mastering ourselves and then being able to um evolve from that, you know, it's kind of amazing. So once we get in touch with that energy and get this clear control of it, we can make the moment. I mean, we can completely own the moment, you know what I mean?
Yes, I know what you mean, Amanda. Yes. I was just saying, yes, I know what you mean,
So,
Amanda. Sorry, I had to pull up my microphone there. So,
no, it's okay.
totally.
I'm just like not sure where else I want to go with that. I mean, synchronicities are so important, but they're kind of just a lead. You know what I mean? They're kind of
Mm.
a lead into that next step of controlling energy, right?
Yeah. It's about developing like a relationship to what like the synchronicity is often either pointing us in the direction of or revealing about like the bigger picture of reality in a lot of ways. Yeah, like synchronicity is a vital tool for you know the universe to be able to communicate with itself, to help become self-aware, to help
Yeah.
events unfold in divine sequence and divine manner for the greater purpose. Yeah, it's a very powerful equation within like this quantum hyperdelic metaphysical computer that we call this reality. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely just a step in that awakening process. Like everybody likes to talk about awakening. I think it's just like the first step in that awakening process. Kind of like once you start paying attention to things and you're like, that's kind of cool, whatever, you know, and then just slowly you start really actually putting some kind of consciousness into that and being like, wow, that actually did really connect to that and that connects to that. And then you start seeing how everything does get interconnected. And it's just it feels like it's just like that first push into understanding intuition and understanding our energy and stuff. It just gets us started.
Totally. Yeah, like synchronicity is in many cases like, you know, one of the early steps for a lot of people's awakening. It will come through synchronicities. Will come through those moments where it'll be hard for them to ignore, where it'll just be like, "Whoa, like that was unusual. Like that was like
Hmm.
that was beyond the odds. That was beyond
I gotta pay
coincidence,
attention to
so
that.
to
Like
speak."
that's where it kind of wakes you up, is where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to pay attention.
Well,
Like
very much
this is
so.
telling me I need to pay attention.
And again, you know, going back to like the metaphor that we often talk about, like the idea that, you know, within this reality, many of us, you can think of it as the fact that like we're like sleepwalking. So synchronicity, in the same way how dream symbolism will work. Something bizarre will happen in a dream, and that will trigger lucidity. Like something will stand out to us, something will get our attention. It will be like a pattern interrupt, and like that's kind of what we need, like not only within our own lives, but also to be that within other people's lives. To be that pattern interrupt, to be something that will just like get their attention and be like, whoa, like, this is different. This is this is making me question things. This is making me see things slightly differently. So yeah, Amanda, we got a few more people in here, so we'll pass the talk and stick around. Is there anything else you want to share at the moment?
Just real quick, like you were just talking about like how dreams can connect to reality, and so like I'm thinking a lot about how my husband this morning was like, oh my gosh, I was wearing this t-shirt and I had this interdimensional dream and it was crazy, and he kind of gets a little weirded out by that whole, he gets a little seasick when it comes to all that, if you will. And he was like, oh no, I'm about to go to the bank and talk to the lady that I was dreaming about, and I'm wearing the same t-shirt, that kind of connection where it's just like, it's just kind of silly, but it's just all connected. And he was like, oh no, how do you like, I'm just so used to it at this point that I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. I love that. I love it when that like kind of wakes you up. But he's still a little seasick about it. Like, let's talk about how you maybe don't get so seasick about it, or whatever that's called. Do you know what that's called? Yeah, just freaked out by it. Like, he's just a little freaked out by it. And I'm like, no, that's just you
Like,
telling yourself.
Is he freaked out about the fact that he has to go talk to the lady at the bank, or is he freaked out
No.
about the fact that he had the dream about the lady who he had to go talk to at the bank?
Just the dream.
Yeah.
He still gets weirded out by the whole interdimensional, and he even says that, just like the
stuff.
Yeah, that stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. And again, I think, in one way we almost kind of see that metaphor kind of like showing up within the Matrix, where like, if you kind of reveal too much to someone too fast, it's like, oh, they're gonna pop, like, and it's like,
yeah,
like,
they're gonna pop.
Exactly. There's kind of like this partner body that just naturally is just like trying to stay in its bubble of comfort. And it wants to stay there because that's what it's been brought up in. That's what it's familiar with. And then sometimes like the synchronicities reveal to us our multidimensional reality. And essentially it's this can be a very powerful thing because it's opening us up into our potential as creators. But at the same time, yes, in a lot of cases, the awareness of this opens us up into a place of what can be sometimes uncomfortable. If anything, you can just think of it as growing pains. Yeah. But I feel like the way how to make that less nauseating is, again, through having conversations, through creating context, and by being able to understand like what is actually happening. That way, so instead of just being like, oh my god, like this is so paranormal, like, oh god, it's freaking me out, man, where eventually, again, like being like on the outside, once we kind of bring that understanding inside, we're just like, oh, this is actually normal. Like this actually is normal. So it's kind of like you learn to accept it, and you learn to integrate it, and you learn to work with it, and you learn to use it as your advantage. And it's just kind of like that slight shift where again, for a lot of us tune into this, a lot of us have already made that step where we're not just the 3D versions of ourselves, but we're expanding our integration with the fifth dimensional, if we want to use that term, the higher dimensional. So we're using that 5D consciousness integrated within our 3D experiences to be able to give us the confidence and the wisdom to move through this 3D reality with more grace, with more confidence, with more courage, with more compassion, in that sense as well. And and especially if you just kind of understand that it's just like, whatever it was that was coming through you, it's like, there's something there to it. And if you're like it, you got to look at it, you got to feel it. You can't, it's kind of like, it's part of the thing where you can't just push away the feeling. You got to sit with it. You got to look at it, because there's something there. Wherever there's a trigger, there's like something there that's a gift that's showing you a little bit more of yourself. So, like, I think if anything, it's just like for someone such as your husband, it's just like coming to understand that, there's nothing personal about it, but at the same time, to just kind of be able to understand that it's something that can be understood more, can be integrated, can be worked with, and and had fun with, in a lot of ways. Like, if anything, you got to get to the point where when you have a dream like that, you almost just got to laugh at it. I saw Forrest posting in the chat, it's the cosmic giggle. Like, it's kind of like that thing where it's just like, oh my God, like, we are so multidimensional, you guys. Like, oh geez, it's so cute sometimes. And it's just like, geez, man, like, I had a dream about this and then it happened. Like, it's just like, it gets to the point where once you've had enough of these, like, you're surprised, but you're not surprised. And you're just kind of like, oh, like, well played, universe, well played, like, brofist, thumbs up, universe, like, very witty. And it seems like the universe will do that sometimes, where the universe actually has, like, almost like this sense of humor where we'll do that. We'll just be like, watch this, like, we're gonna trip this person out right now with, like, a really bizarre synchronicity or something like that. And so it's like, again, we have to, you can, and this is what I want to talk to as well. We can talk about the idea that, like, these synchronicities are almost, in a sense, being used as a medium for us to be able to communicate with our higher selves. And you can almost think of it as well as synchronicities being a medium for our guides to be able to communicate to us as well. And this is where, you can get into the idea of, like, communications with loved ones who have passed on and things like that. Like, those can occur through synchronicities as well. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting to think of synchronicities as a medium, in the same way, and it's not just the medium, it's the message. This is where, like, McLuhan talks about this and everything like that. And again, like, when we're talking about, like, creating media and everything like that, it's not just the video that I put out. It's not just the image that I put up on Instagram. It's the message being carried with it. And so when we experience a synchronicity, the medium may be like the event, but it's like the message of that event is the reason why it happened. It's not just the novelty. It's what we get out of it. It's what we process to it. It's how we relate to it. And if we're always kind of looking for that, where we're kind of like, okay, like, why are these messages coming to me? Why are these events coming to me? And when we really do understand that whatever is coming to you is there for your highest growth, you get better at integrating it. You get better at seeing it. You get better at reading the language of the universe, and again, that's where I want to be able to give a shout out to, like, The Alchemist, the book The Alchemist. That's, like, a big thing that they talk about there.
Yes, I was going to talk
which is
about that one
very
too.
much in the Celestine prophecy, within the same genre, where, again, it's like that book, The Alchemist, those of you who hadn't read it, it really is just like a story of a boy going on this journey, and he has the dreams about the pyramids, and then he's brought on this journey of following his heart and making his way eventually to the pyramids. But along the way, he learns to understand the language of the universe. So it's a very powerful idea when we can think about that, of, like, understanding that these synchronicities, it's like the language of the universe is talking to us. How do we begin to understand it? And so, I mean, within other cultures, they have people within their cultures that they refer to as seers. This is a term that I used earlier, SEER. And this is, like, a very powerful term that we can integrate within our Western perspective to be able to use to give us foresight for reality. So in the same way, synchronicity works through tarot decks also as well. You use a tarot deck, you get a symbol, and that symbol is actually a hologram of something else in your life. And if you can read the symbol well, you can actually get foresight on something else, on something bigger. And so a seer, I'm trying to think of, like, a perfect example, because I know I heard one on an episode of Mysterious Universe. Shout out to Mysterious Universe. Go listen to that podcast as well. It's funny. But it was just like, well, there's something in particular. Trying to remember something like that. But yeah, no, it was just like, it was about, like, a man in India, and, like, there was, like, stuff that happened. And damn it, I can't explain it properly, but it would be like this old man was, like, aware, and, like, something would happen during the day, and he would see it, like, a synchronicity would happen, and he would see it as a symbol. And then later on in the day, he would do something because of that event, and then lo and behold, it would, like, serve him. For example, like, there was, like, it was something related to, it was like, yeah. Okay, this may not be the example. I may just be making this up, but we're just going to use it as an example anyways. There was, like, let's just say this happens. He's at his house, and then lo and behold, the door, like, a gust of wind hits the door, and the door opens. just by like by the gust of wind, you know. And it's like what's happening with wind, right? That's like a thing in itself. Like, is that the universe commanding the wind? But anyways, the door swings open, and then he sees that not just as like something random, not just something that just happens, but because he's looking for it. He's trained himself to look for it. He's looking for it. He sees that door opening. He's like, oh, like that's an omen, right? And so that's a word that we need to integrate into the concept of what we're talking about here, the concept of omen, which again is kind of like foretelling. And so, you know, when the door opened, he read it as a seer, and he was like, okay. And then what he does, he goes and puts some tea on. He puts some tea on, and then, you know, his wife comes in, and she's like, you know, like, why are you putting tea out for like more people than, you know, more than just yourself? And he's just like, I'm not entirely sure yet, but we'll see. And then he prepares this tea, and then lo and behold, like a little bit later in the day, like his brother arrives for a surprise visit. And so that door swinging open in the first place, that was a synchronicity that he read as an omen that gave him the foresight to say, your brother is coming. And he didn't fully know that that was going to happen, but within his heart, he knew that it meant something. And he was able to kind of integrate it and kind of like listen to it without even having the full knowledge. And then to be able to do that, to be able to like meet the universe halfway. So like, again, what happens when we like, what does it look like to be at a state of consciousness where you can literally see like every omen in your reality and every synchronicity in your reality? This is where you get into this level of like superhero type natural psychic abilities, foretelling, you know, like the ability to like literally have the foresight. I think Nicolas Cage was in a movie about this, but, you know, just kind of imagine the potential of what it could be like to actually be able to read everything in your reality, and then understand that you are where you are now for a purpose, but understand that you can take steps to be able to get better at reading the universe, at reading the language. Pay attention to like when animals cross your path. Pay attention to when you happen to see a deer out in nature. Pay attention to when you happen to see certain numbers that you resonate with. And again, pay attention to like just like even like, yeah, like things that pop up on your internet, weird happenstances. Like it's I don't know, it's kind of weird to like give examples off the top of my head, but there's so many. Another thing I did want to just mention, and I don't want to hog the talking stick too much, and I appreciate you guys for your patience, because I want to just be able to, again, pass the talking stick around. I wanted to be able to talk about the idea of like programming synchronicity into your reality using numbers. So I just want to talk real quick, like literally just like in 2 minutes, the whole like 1111 phenomenon, because this goes back to what Amanda was talking about with the idea of synchronicities working as a way for the universe to kind of like give us a nudge, to kind of gently help wake us up. So a lot of people talk about the 1111 phenomenon. You probably guys, a lot of you have seen me talk about this before in another video or even past broadcasts. It's an important one to talk about, and I'll talk about it real quick. To me, the 1111 phenomena serves in phases. It works in phases. The first phase will be to see the 1111 sequence to a point where it starts to snap people out of the spell. Again, it's a pattern interrupt. It starts getting their attention to the point where they're just like, wow, this is uncanny. This is, you know, beyond just random. What's going on here, right? It makes them start asking questions. And then lo and behold, a simple search on the internet nowadays, if you look up 1111, it connects you to all these spiritual pages, right? And that leads you down a rabbit hole. How easy is that, thanks to the design of the consciousness creating the internet? But again, what happens is that the first step is like an initiator to get your attention. After that, you can use, it's an option, you can use things like 1111 to develop a form of communication. Again, it becomes a medium. And so what you can do is you can use 1111 to be a symbol, to be a significance of you, to be like, okay, I'm in the right place, or this is a reminder for me to be present, or, you know, just kind of like being able to understand that like all is flow, like all is like, again, basically, yeah, like what I already said, it's like the universe like giving a thumbs up. And oftentimes that will happen when synchronicity occurs. It's best when you're not actively looking for it, but when you're just in that flow state, when you're in your natural flow state, and then you're working on stuff, you're doing things, you're going throughout your day, and then you turn to the clock, boom, it's 11:11. It just happens to be there, just smacks you in the face, right? It's just like, oh, that was a good thing, right? Like that's a thumbs up from the universe. That means I was in my flow and everything is unfolding as it should. All is sync. I mean, that's a big concept in itself as well. All is sync. Everything is sync. And then what you can do further with the whole 1111 thing, like I said, and I'll just say this real quick, you can use it as a medium to communicate with your higher self. And this was a huge part of my initial awakening process back when I was like 20 and stuff like that, because not only was the 1111 thing happening, but I began to understand that you could program other numbers. So as much as most people see 1111 just by default, some people see 222s, 555s, 777s, anything, right? You can program it by setting the intention, journal it, write it down, write it in your books, write these numbers in your books. The numbers that I chose were the numbers 9-6, and I have like that tattooed on my wrist, which like a lot of you, like, again, like this is like some old news for some of you, not so much. So again, like the 9-6 in itself, like I chose that number for multiple reasons. A, because it's like a symbol in itself, which like symbolically is like very powerful. It relates to like the polarity and the yin yang, the male, the female, as above, so below, the dichotomy of nature, and intention in and purpose out. And also because as a Cancerian, it's like the 6-9 of the Cancerian symbol is also a 9-6, which actually I didn't realize that until after I chose 9-6 and had it tattooed on my wrist. So that was a synchronicity in itself. But what I was doing is I was writing 9-6 in my journal, and I was inviting the universe to use 9-6 as my way to be able to communicate with my higher self. And so, yeah, I'll still see 11-11s, but for me, my main numbers are 9-6. So I programmed that because I knew that would be one that I would still see fairly frequently out on license plates, out on, random numbers here and there, phone numbers and things like that. And then lo and behold, it was working. It was showing up. And again, it was showing up in moments where like I wouldn't be looking for it. Like I would be like downtown, just kind of minding my own business. I would come to an intersection, I would look, and then I would like be making eye contact with a 9-6 on a car as it was driving by accident, by happenstance, by coincidence. And I'll just say this real quick, the term coincidence, we need to reprogram how we think of that. Oftentimes people think synchronicity is one thing, coincidence is another thing, and as if they're two different things, as if they're opposites. People are just like, oh, it's just a coincidence. No, it's really more or less just the same word for the two different words for the same thing, because those slightly different, they are different. Coincidence is literally coinciding incidences. And that's exactly what synchronicity is. Coincidence can sometimes just be coinciding incidences that don't necessarily have a meaning. For example, a weird coincidence could be somebody like honking a horn as somebody like accidentally drops their pop can at the same time. Those two incidences, they're not really related. Like there's not too much synchronicity into that, but they still did coincide. It's just like a coincidence. Whereas the synchronicity, we use that term more so when there's meaning, more so when there's a significance to the event actually happening to us based on our perception. There's a significance from our perspective. So again, I really encourage you guys to use numbers as examples, and even animals. Again, you can do this with animals. You can be like, okay, like my spirit animal is da 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 da, and every time I see that, I'm going to be reminded of da 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 da. You program this and you put it out there, and then the universe is just like, sweet, now we got a way to communicate to you. Now we've got a medium. Now we've got a method. And so the 9-6 one works for me, and I'll just give you guys like the obvious examples of when it works. Not only did it end up showing up in my cell phone number and in my bank accounts and on my my social insurance number, like literally it's all in there, which again, it's just like, I don't know, could mean nothing, could mean everything. But the moments when it really feels right for me is going back to my examples of doing free hugs. Many times this has happened where I would be like downtown doing free hugs for quite a while, and then lo and behold, I'm like in that zone. And then again, exactly what I said earlier, I would like look up, not looking at every single license plate prior, but literally just look up in that moment, and there would be like a 9-6 right in front of me, or it'd be a 6-9. It would be a variation, right? Because I've made it flexible with mine. It can be 9-6, 6-9, or 8-2 or 2-8, because 2 and 8 is still like 6-9. If you like have like the symbol 9-6, it's like the circle, 2 lines. If you turn it sideways, it looks like the infinity sign, and then it's like 8-2. That's one way how I've kind of deciphered it. So again, I've got variations. Mine's a little bit flexible, but within those flexibilities, there's like 8-2 still has a significance, 6-9 still has a significance. It's almost like it's kind of like, if it's 6-9, that's awesome. But if it's 9-6, that's like even more awesome. Like it's more accuracy type of thing, though they're both still significance. But again, the synchronicity of it is really, really amazing when you use it as a way to communicate with your higher self, when you use it as a way to be able to get that confirmation that you are in the right place at the right time, that you are the universe expanding itself. And these synchronicities, and I'll just say this and I'll pass the talking stick around, these synchronicities, this is just an idea. These synchronicities seem to appear more the more that we carry an open heart. And this is like a very powerful idea, right? Because like as we carry an open heart, we carry like a broader connection with the universe. And then as like a child of the universe is like knowing that we are able to receive these synchronicities, so it starts delivering them to us. It starts expanding like the frequency of them. And this becomes a very beautiful texture within our everyday reality. It becomes like a part of our day-to-day lives that can change the way we live. You know, suddenly we're not just going out and we're just like, oh, you know, like nothing ever happens. Life is so boring. This is dull and da, 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 da. Whereas like you can go out downtown and you're just like, synchronicities are going to happen today. I know they're going to happen today. I'm open to them happening today and I am ready to receive them. And then so like they may be small, they may be little, they may not be anything. It may not happen today. Maybe it's teaching you patience. That's totally cool too. But when they do happen, and you're in that heart space to be able to receive it, that's powerful. That is powerful. And then again, like, you know, like there's the little synchronicities and then there's the big synchronicities where again, you like meet that person where you collaborate on that project, where you fall in love with your soul flame or whatever like that. And so again, just creating context. Context is so important. The reason why we're having this discussion right now within this broadcast, I didn't choose this topic by accident, is because again, I want to be able to like drip feed these ideas for you guys to help you expand how you show up, to help give you this knowledge and these perceptions as shifters so that you can like integrate this into your day-to-day actions, so that you can use this as confidence to move throughout your day-to-day life, to be able to do things like free hugs with that understanding that the universe will meet you halfway if you like put yourself out there. And so just like, yeah, it's a very beautiful thing to be able to understand how much synchronicity does and can play a part of our life and how we can actually open ourselves up into more of it. But at the same time, also kind of like a big part of it is like kind of like not expecting it to. Because sometimes you might go like a few days without a big synchronicity and then lo and behold, it will happen, you know? So like that's kind of the other thing about it, is that it's just kind of the messages arrive when they're meant to, and that teaches us patience, but having that open heart allows them to be received. And when we do that, you know, it's like opening us up into bigger parts of ourselves, bigger stories, all the gifts that we are ready to receive. So awesome. All right. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me share that with you, and drop some 1111s in the live chat if you guys like resonate with that and all that good stuff. Awesome. Okay. I'm going to pass the talking stick over to, hey, Joel, can you give me a thumbs up if you want to go next, and I'll pass it over to you. Cool. Awesome, man. All right. Sweet. We got Joel in here. He's been synced up with the project recently, but it's first time in the roundtable. Guys, so I know I said we were going to like keep this at 2 hours. If we go a little bit longer, that's okay. We are currently at an hour and 20 minutes, but we'll begin to shift into intuition soon. I just want to be able to give people a chance to pass it around. And we got Forrest in here and we got Jared in here as well. So we'll give them a chance as well. Sweet. Some 1111s in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone. And remember, broadcast this to your Instagram stories and tell people to connect to my profile. Just tag me, all that good stuff. Joel, I'm going to pass the talking stick over to you. Let's get the microphone set up here, and I'm going to pull up your microphone. And Joel, just do a quick sound check. Just make sure that we can hear you okay.
Yo, what's up?
Yo, awesome. All right, loud and clear, man. Sweet. Well, Joel, I'll pass it over to you. And again, as we did with other people, you can just do a brief introduction, your name, where you're coming in from. And from there, you can talk a little bit more about synchronicity, what it means to you, and what you think the audience should be able to understand a little bit more about it. So, Joel, passing the talking stick over to you, and welcome, and thank you so much for being here, dude.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure for you to have me. I think Jared, he wanted to say something real quick before we started.
Okay, we can do that. If you're totally cool with that, we can check in with Jared. If maybe Jared's on a time schedule, that's okay.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, okay, Jared.
No, it's all right.
You got the talking stick right
I just
now.
want to drop one thing so you can carry on.
Go for it.
You mentioned like the door opening, and Practical Magic was another movie that showed the broom drop when company was coming. So it's been known about for centuries. Just want to drop that little bit. You can go back.
Interesting. Yeah,
We'll talk
Practical
later.
Magic is a movie. So yeah, so again,
Well,
yeah,
this seems like it's been going on for centuries, and witches and
Yeah.
warlocks knew this stuff too. And we all know they were just herbalists or people like ourselves, and then some, right? They just knew some things. And then we lost that knowledge and we try to retain it again. But talk to tech and stick back. I'll talk forever. You know how I roll.
Thank you for being here, Jared. Yeah, no, that's key, right? Like, just real quick, going into the idea of just kind of imagining in our mind how synchronicity might have appeared in the days past, and a lot of it would have been through nature. It would have been through even the clouds. You know, it would have been the way the sun set. Feathers, finding
Anything.
feathers, animals, like, you know, all of these little things. You know, we've kind of lost that connection between us and the world has kind of been, you know, there's like a lot of like fog in between, so we're piercing through it with light to create some clarity. All right, thank you, Jared.
It's almost like we're
go ahead.
Yeah, we're just like little children, and the universe has to use whatever stuffed animal or thing they have to work with us.
Exactly,
You know,
right?
just to teach us.
And I think that's kind of the
beautiful.
beautiful.
Playpen Earth, welcome.
Yeah, and sorry, you just got. I just want to say this real quick. Like, it's really powerful to think about the idea of how synchronicity adapts with the times. Like, there's nothing that synchronicity, you know, it's not like back then, again, it was all that stuff. But now, since technology has changed, synchronicity begins showing up through our technology. And again, maybe it works different.
Yeah, whatever we can use.
I would say it's not even that it works different. It still works the same. It's still the same fundamental thing, but it works through what is available.
There's a couple of different details, different points of view that
Different
shows a better
mediums,
picture of
yeah.
what it is.
Yeah.
Perspectives.
Cool. Okay, let's pass it over to Joel, and Jared, we'll hear more from you later.
All right, Joel.
All right, so Joel, let me just pull up your microphone. Okay, Joel, passing it back to you, dude. Thank you for letting Jared share there. So, Joel, go right ahead, man. You got the talking stick.
Sweet. All right, it's all good. And yeah, kind of a little nervous, but you know, just go with the flow.
Totally, all practice.
So synchronicity. That's something that I could literally talk about for like 5 days in a row, and it's just amazing that you're having this topic. Yeah. And so one of the things about synchronicity is, like, you know how like time flows and stuff. So one of the concepts of these synchronicities is that when an event happens in time, it's kind of like dropping a rock in a puddle. So when you drop a rock in a puddle, there's ripples. So it's like synchronicities, along with just messages from the universe and everything. They're kind of like ripples from the future and the past that we're seeing in the present moment. And it's just amazing when they come up and everything, and it's just like a message from our higher self, like, hey, you should really pay attention to this right now. And even just like getting involved with the paradigm shift, that was a really cool synchronicity. It was just like, oh, happened to look on Instagram and Mystic Spider-Man follows me. And then 3 minutes later, he posted something about the live chat. It's like, all right, watch the stream later tonight. And, you know, not even knowing like anything about him. And it's like, oh yeah, he's from London. And it's just, it's really cool. Such a small world.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
And we had the mutual friend. We had Ryan, the mutual friend, right? And like that was a synchronicity there.
Oh yeah, and like the day that Ryan and I met, that was an amazing synchronicity that I'll share in a little bit. But yeah, I guess a little background since I missed that. Started getting into the synchronicity stuff and everything at the start of this year. From like maybe some of you guys are familiar with the law of time, but I actually got into the law of time and the 13 moon calendar around 2011. Kind of forgot about it. Thought it was really cool back then and everything. And just through meditation every now and then, it was like throughout 7 years, and then boom, it's like, all right, you're ready to utilize and experience all this knowledge and everything. And this year has been like a movie, and it's been great. And yeah, the law of time, it's it's a wonderful thing. And if anybody doesn't know what their like signature is and stuff, it's really powerful stuff. And that's something we discovered, like the power of it even more so recently. Oh yeah, and you're talking that tattoo that you have, the 9-6, that is amazing. Uh, in these books in the Law of Time, one of the things it talks about is that there's like two types of universes, of galaxies rather. One one of them has life and the other one doesn't have life. And according to these books, it says that 2/3 of them don't have life. But the third that does yield life is because it's governed by 9 and 6, 6 and 9. So like that's amazing that you have that tattoo. And another one of the things is that I'll go into numbers since that's what I've been like specializing in, is that if they're like in mirror dimensions rather, like numbers mean the same thing regardless. So if you see the number reversed or forwards, it's the same thing. They bear the same meaning. And if you can key into what numbers do, then you can recognize a lot more synchronicities. Well, not to mention that just the whole world is a synchronicity. Every single thing that you see can bear some meaning to it. And I don't know, some really cool synchronicities. Like so one of the things this year that got me started on all this was something called the 41 matrix, which is like a 21 by 21 number grid that's from a higher order of intelligence. And this number grid is like, it's really magical. And at the center of it, it's 1111, 441. And that's like the number it's associated with the heart chakra, like according to these books. And since, I don't know, about March, been doing this practice which is called synchrogalactic yoga, and it's a method of self-synchronization with the planet and the universe and everything. And ever since then, it's like amplified and accelerated synchronicities like times 100. It's hard to explain. And yeah, just to go into some like very brief like synchronicities, one of them that happened really recently happened because of these telepathic frequencies that like can be calculated every day. And that's one of the cool things, is that you can find out what your personal telepathic frequencies are. And that's one of my favorite things, to calculate them for my friends and family. And they just like pop up in life. And you'll be like going around and like you just like notice, oh, that's my telepathic frequency on like that license plate or something. And it's a signal from the universe that, you know, everything's planned and that we can raise ourselves to this higher consciousness based on that. And even just like from the start of this year, calculating those, like I would go to work or something, and then it's one of the distinct ones, it was like 1357, and I go to a delivery around, and for 3 hours I'm right across the street from the address 1357, and it's like, how is this happening? And even like something really cool I'll show you guys. So was doing a meditation with crystal skulls earlier this year, or I mean this maybe like a month ago. And that's what's really cool, like, you know, crystal skulls, skull Babylon. And during this meditation, I got a vision of a crystal, and it was like very distinct shape. It's this one right here. And this crystal, so I went and looked for it online a few a few days later, after a little bit of searching, it's like, oh, that's definitely the one, like, guaranteed. Click on the link, and it was literally the mix of both of my telepathic frequency and the activating number for that frequency in one. So like my frequency is 819, and the activating number for it's 378, but in vigesimal, which is another number notation based on 20 count, it's 18.18. And so the number on that was 18181819. And it's just like mind blowing that the universe could set this up. And it's like, hey, like this is a really important tool for you to have. Like you definitely need to have this. And yeah, like that's just how synchronicities work. It's just like exactly like you were saying. Like I'm so glad that you mentioned that it's like lightning and that we are also the ones that are outputting these synchronicities to the universe, because that's definitely one of the keys that will get people to pay attention to this stuff more. When we're thinking of it and then they're thinking of it, but we don't know, but we output our inspiration into the world, and then they come into contact with it and they're like, oh, maybe I should start like believing in this stuff more instead of just nonchalantly going through the universe. But anyways, I guess that's just sort of a little bit of what I wanted to add into the synchronicity talk. I could go on forever, but
hey Joel, what time is it right
pass
now?
on the no idea.
Do you want to guess? You'll be able to guess. I'm only asking you because you can guess.
Well, I guess 11:11.
Yeah, close to it at least. On one of my clocks, it is. So, yeah. Sorry, I don't know if you get it. That's weird. You could still hear me there, but I had my microphone down. Okay, I guess you did still hear me, so that's good. But the audience heard me though as well. But yeah, no, it's 11:11 on my clock right now. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So,
yeah. Well, that's pretty sweet, and
bonus points.
Just it could be any time really, and like that's one of the things that like happens. Like, if anybody wants, I would gladly and happily calculate the telepathic frequencies and give them to you guys, so that you guys could have more synchronicities that enter your time space, and like they happen like all the time without even like trying. They just like I don't know, it's just really cool. And like when you know what your friends and your family's frequencies are as well, like you notice those numbers, and it's just messages from the universe like, oh, like maybe I should like talk to that person like today, like give them a shout. But
totally, man.
Yeah.
Totally. I'd love to be able to, just help people take you up on that offer. Joel, are you in the Discord chat yet? Have you joined the Discord chat?
Yeah.
What's your username on the Discord chat, and then people can just message you through there?
It's JK Ice.
JK Ice. All right. So for people looking to get in contact with Joel, message him through the Discord chat. And if you're not on the Discord chat, then join the Discord chat. So, yeah. But dude, that's awesome, man. And again, and I think it's or go ahead, keep going if there's more. Yeah.
Oh, just I don't even know where to go from it. There's just so many different avenues to go. Just like, Oh yeah, and I don't know if you guys noticed earlier, but when he was talking about omens, and there was honking in the background, so that was a really cool synchronicity.
For me, there was honking in the background? There was? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like just like all those things, they happen like all the time like that. Like like a month ago, I was at a beach meditating and doing some work for like 2 hours, and like the weather was bad, but it was like still like fine. And like the second I start, I'm like, all right, I'm done, going home. And as I'm like walking back to the car, it just starts pouring down rain. And just like little messages like that, like doing something, and like all of a sudden the geese will start going crazy, honking like there's just synchronicities everywhere from the universe, and just always keep in mind what your thoughts are when those things happen. Like even when we were in Calgary recently, like, you know, we're not supposed to have these jobs. Like our job is supposed to be trying to increase the consciousness of the planet. And I was like walking barefoot. We're hiking with Ryan, and Ryan mentions that, like, man, this job is killing me, and I like step on a rock and it hurt me real bad, and I'm like, man, like I just endured that pain for you. Like you definitely shouldn't have that job. So yeah.
Weird, man. Yeah.
Thank you for.
Dude, thank you as well, man. And yeah, no, I just want to just with what you were saying about like the idea of like the car honking or the geese honking, Canadian geese, they honk. You know, it's interesting because like, yeah, just to give people something to look for. Look for those moments where you're doing something, you're having a conversation, and then something else happens that is almost the universe being like ding ding ding, like that meant something, or ding ding ding, like you're correct. And so like again, like that can be yeah, it could be like a weird sound effect in the background. It could be, you know, like maybe there's like you'll be having a conversation, you'll just be like, yeah, you know, like I really think I need to do this with my life, and then a notification will come through your phone and it'll be like bing, and like or you know, or again it'll just be like some noise or something. But the audio synchronicities are definitely something to keep in mind. Or yeah, but again, it shows up in like so many ways, and it even with like the winds, again, the nature, the devas, if we think of them that way, it's like this idea that, you know, we think of the nature around us, it's not literally just latent, it's not just dead, it's not just dead space or something like that. It's one way to think about it is that it's literally not just spirits, but the spirit of the universe communicating through. So if you're doing something and then suddenly there's like a huge gust of wind that comes through, that's like the devas are agreeing, you know. It's kind of this one way of thinking about it. So just for people out there, start expanding your perception to start looking for these synchronicities, and as you start paying attention to them and as you start making yourself available to them, then the universe will be like, oh sweet, now we can use those as mediums to be able to communicate with that person. And again, I feel the big thing with synchronicities is they are helping us, guide us to like where we're meant to be, towards our like best path, towards our like lessons, towards our joys, towards our excitement. And so if we're in tune with these, then the synchronicities can actually help us get there sooner rather than later. And I feel like that's kind of the thing here. And this is again what Ryan was saying, you know, like it's like the future, you have an intention or there's an event and it's like a ripple coming back into the past and we feel it. And this is where the intuition stuff comes into play. We feel it through our intuitions. And then again, it's like, you know, that future, it can happen to you eventually, but it can happen to you sooner if you're kind of like paying attention to like how to navigate this maze of life, where the universe is like, okay, go this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and then you kind of go. And so like there's a video, I'll just mention this real quick and then we'll pass the talking stick around. There's a video of a guy in London and he did like a synchronicity walk with a team, and it was a really interesting video, and it was basically them just like following synchronicities in London, UK, and they were just going in no particular, like they didn't know where they were going, but they were following synchronicities. So they were like looking for numbers, they were looking for significance, they were listening to their intuition, and then it would like end up leading them like somewhere really significant, or they would meet something and they would end up at a place. And so again, it's kind of there's all these kind of like symbols, and we have to be able to like read the symbols. We have to learn how to read the symbols, and we have to understand that we can develop our own relationship with the symbols. We can give them their own significance as well. And then when we establish that becomes like a way for the universe to be able to communicate to us. So yeah, again, like this is just, it's just being able to become more aware of what it means to be a multidimensional being. And what it means to be a multidimensional being is understand that we exist beyond the present moment, and we are constantly in communication with ourselves beyond this present moment through synchronicities and symbols and omens and all that. And so when we open up to that, we're opening up to more of ourselves, we're opening up to more of our potential, and we can open up to being like even more epic and awesome and a badass cosmic superhero to be able to help shift the world. I'll just say a couple things real quick, because again, you know, the big part with this project is you guys hear me talking about this all the time. I'm always encouraging you. This is like such a core fundamental of the project, to create the physical paradigm shift communities where that you are, or even just to be able to connect with people where you are, to find the others, to build the tribe. The big thing within this, and this was like the knowledge that I had before I created the paradigm shift community, and this is why I knew it was going to work. I was fully confident in it working because I understood how synchronicity worked, is that if you build something, they will come. If you create the vibration, it will attract. If you put out the intention, you will meet the right people at the right place. So again, for all the people who are just like, oh, I'd love to find more people in my area, but I don't know where they are, you can find them. And if you know that you are already connected to them, that can help guide you. That can help lead you towards where you're meant to be. And again, sometimes it's up to you to create portals for synchronicity. And this is what the Paradigm Shift Community meetup events are, which again are just open-minded discussion meditation circles. You can have them at a library, at a community center, at a park, at a house, anywhere. And you create that portal, and then that becomes a portal for synchronicity. The universe can act through it. In the exact same way that if you're standing on a corner with a free hug sign, you become a portal for synchronicity. The universe can work with you. It collaborates with you. It gives something a place to move towards. You become a gravitational field, and the universe is like, oh, sweet, let's go towards that. Let's anchor ourselves into that. So like, it just goes back to the idea that like we are powerful creators. And we need to get into the habit of giving ourselves more credit. And sometimes it's a little bit scary because we don't know what the future is. But if we understand that the future is already there, then that simple paradigm shift in itself can really give us like the confidence and the courage to be able to move forward with this, knowing that it will happen. And at the very least, patience and persistence and consistency will make sure that it does happen. So if you're like trying to create a paradigm shift community and it doesn't happen right away as quick as you thought it would, remain consistent with it. Keep that open door. Allow people to show up, because sometimes the universe needs to make sure that you're committed to what it is that you're doing, to be able to be like, okay, now we're going to start bringing people to you. Now we're going to start finding the tribe. And again, you know, like it goes back to this idea of like this law of attraction of like attracting like sort of thing. So there are people out there looking for what you have to offer. And if you put yourself out there, it gives them the opportunity to find you, and it gives you the opportunity to find them. And that's like a huge, huge part of what this journey is about, because again, this is all about community, tribe, and leveling up together. So we do need each other. Last thing I was just going to say, this is just kind of a side note, but it was just something I became aware of, and it's really cool. I'll just share it with you guys. You'll understand. Going back to the concept of omen, it's interesting. Think about this. Words are cool. That the word omen is literally in the word woman. So when we think of the word woman, it's literally like omen with a W. Think about that for a second, because like that in itself is like such a powerful, like that tells a lot. That when we think of women, like we are thinking of them as like foretellers, like they are the future. Like they carry the future with them in that sense. So I'll give you more like just sit with that idea on yourself. The idea that like women have the energy of omenness within themselves. So yeah, let's keep passing the talking stick around. I just want to be able to check. Joel, is there anything else you want to share in this one? And that was awesome, dude. I really enjoyed what you have to share there. So
maybe just that it's cool that as you started to say that, one of the things that like all words can be broken down into number according to this like number wheel sort of thing. And almost every time that the universe tries to tell me to like, hey, you should break down this number, it always comes up with something cool. So I just started to break down omen in my head, and it turns into 78. And that's really cool because that's my kin number, 78.
Oh, interesting. So that's a synchronicity for you right there. Synchronicity live on air, everyone. It happens. So that's cool. So you like carry the energy of the omen already within you. That's powerful, man. Pretty cool.
That's cool.
That's cool. Awesome. Cool. All right. Joel, thank you again. Is there anything else? I mean, obviously we'll pass the talk and stick around some more as we keep going. So
no, just thank you very much. It's always a pleasure and been a pleasure.
Awesome. Sweet. Thank you, man. All right, let's get ready to pass the talking stick around. I wanted to be able to pass it over to, hey Forrest, unmute your microphone if you want to share a little bit about synchronicity. And Forrest is kind of like our resident, like he has a lot of knowledge in terms of like medicine ceremonies, and he's been in a lot of like the dream class broadcasts. Allow me to pick your mind on this, Forrest, but you know, synchronicities occur within dreams, and they can also occur within like psychedelic medicine experiences. So Forrest, if you want to talk about that, you're welcome to. I'm not asking you to, but I'd love to hear if there's anything that you have thoughts on that in terms of like how, you know, communicating with the universe kind of happens like in these ceremonies. But I know you got a lot more to share as well. Forrest, I'm gonna pull your microphone up. Talking stick is in your hands. Forrest, welcome back, dude. Passing the talking stick over to you. Go right ahead, man.
Right on. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because this talk about synchronicity has turned into a talk of numerology. And although numbers are important, they are a way that the universe communicates to us. I really want to, for me anyway, it's more of nature. It's how nature communicates to me. And with the medicines, it's all about synchronicity. I mean, it can literally be, you know, you look at a tree and you see a face that's pointing towards something that you need to be paying attention to. For example, one time, I was sitting with cannabis, and I was at a stream, and my eyes kind of found this rock face that was like sitting in the stream, and it was like looking in a certain direction, and I'm like, why am I seeing this face that's looking that way? Shouldn't it be looking at me? Like, isn't this my experience? Shouldn't it be like looking at me? You know, I mean, this was a long time ago, but anyway, so I was like, okay, maybe it wants me to look to my left, right? So I look to my left, and I see like there's this group of guys like starting to get their like barbecue going on, and they're drinking and stuff, and just behind them I see the Rangers pulling up, and this was before cannabis was you know legal for recreational purposes, although I wasn't using it recreationally, I was using it to journey, which I don't consider is recreational, but you know, the powers that happen to be, you know, making the laws, they see that as recreational use. And anyway, so that's one way that like a synchronicity was literally like, you know, there's a face of a rock looking to my left. Maybe I should look to my left. And sure enough, you know, I got a warning, you know, to go to a different, you know, location that's less populated, and, you know, less rangers. And another thing is totems. We their totems. They just need to, you know, open themselves up, clear their mind enough to recognize these totems. And these totems don't have to be super spiritual, super amazing, you know, buffaloes or, you know, dragons or something like that. Although they could be, you know, but they don't have to be. For example, one of my totems is the robin. The little red robin just hops along in my yard, and every time that I'm about to go to an ayahuasca ceremony, that morning it will hop along in my yard. Now, does it do it every morning? No, I don't see it that often. But this, for some reason, this creature knows that I'm about to do something special that day, and it's like it's almost like it's celebrating, and that's what I consider a totem. And when I mean every time, like from what I could count, 30 times. That's because it took me 3 times to realize that it was my totem. But it could also be bees, hummingbirds. I mean, they're all over the place. Flies, spiders, even your own pets. Look at your pets. Your pets are, telling you synchronicities all the time. I knew a guy who his dog would not stop humping everything in the house. And long story short, it turned out that that's because the man, the owner of the dog, was suffering heartache, and he was sexually frustrated. And so that was, I don't know, I mean, maybe you call it a synchronicity, maybe you call it a sign, but I see like signs like that. Now, going back to numerology, I always saw 9/11, and 9/11 is interesting because in our Western society, our society has chosen to make that number a dangerous number. Like, fear this number, and not just because of what happened on September 11th, but also like your emergency is 9/11, and what I find is that so there was this 9/11 that kept appearing to me, and I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, that's not I'm not like, that's not a positive number or whatever, and I was like, well, maybe I should like actually look at what that number is before I just assume that it's not a positive number. So I did some research. I found out that that number is the universe telling you that you're right on track. So, and what I mean by universe, I don't mean like this super powerful cosmic being of God, that's like this one being that's like, this is what I choose for what to happen in the universe. What I mean by the universe is plural. So all the beings in the universe that work together. So like, guardian angels, animal spirits, ancestors, people that are working in the spirit, psychic shamans, so on and so forth. All those people that are coming together, people that are praying for you, for example, all those people, that's the universe. So when I'm talking about the universe, I'm talking about the team universe. And team universe is creating a way of saying, hey, you're doing the right thing, stay on this track. What you're doing right now, you should be doing. And I found that what I was doing at the time when I'd see these 9/11s pop up is what I was supposed to be doing at that time. And so I really learned to appreciate those numbers. And now I see 9/11 as a wonderful number. I don't pin a negative energy to it anymore, because it has worked out for me so much. Also, one thing I noticed is that with medicines in particular, the people that you may be partaking these medicines with, that you are sitting with, you find that synchronicities are all over that. Like the relationships that you have between them going forward, it's like as if we were family. Like, oh my gosh, you're my sister, you're my brother. And not just like, because we're so loving and we're building this community, but like literally, like, you are thinking my thoughts for me. Kind of like when you have a mate, and you're really close, like a partner, life partner, and you find that you're thinking something in your head, and like 2 seconds before you're about to say it, they say it, kind of like that. But you start to feel like that it's with the whole circle, with all the people that you work with, no matter how far away you are. It's like telepathic in a way. What we think of as telepathy is kind of off, and I guess that's due to Hollywood and so on. It's not necessarily reading someone else's thoughts as if it's their thoughts. It's that you're both thinking the same thing at the same time, and you both think that they're your thought, but it's actually like the team universe send those thoughts to both of you, and you're picking up on that frequency at the I used to call it the truth frequency. But yeah, so that's how I feel about synchronicities. And Brendon, your image of your example of the lightning bolt was spot on. Like, I got chills up my spine when you were talking that. So it was almost like you were being channeled that message. Like, you were spot on, man. So right on.
Cool, thanks, man. Again, I think it's really cool when we can always look at any pattern in nature and see how it relates to sometimes the metaphysical as well. And yeah, patterns like tree branches, lightning, fractals, I've always seen those as powerful symbols as well as blueprints and patterns for understanding time, synchronicity, things of that nature. So yeah, no, I'm glad that resonated with you, dude. So awesome.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you for sharing. Is there more you want to share? Because I think we're gonna segue this into the intuition topic, which is is good with what you've already been talking about. Because again, I think a big this was actually coming up in the chat a little bit earlier. People were talking when we were talking a little bit earlier about like relationship stuff specifically. Gino was actually talking about the idea of what our thoughts are on when people who have engaged in intimacy, how they become more synchronized with each other. And so like it's really interesting to just kind of observe how we as humans synchronize when we are in a group of people who we are of like-minded with. We synchronize, our behaviors become similar, and not just that, but our thought patterns become similar, because again, it's a frequency thing. We're on like a wavelength, and so if we're on that same wavelength, then like you said, we're kind of like able to receive the same information that is becoming available. So I mean, there's a lot more to that, and I think there's a lot more mystery and stuff like that. But again, the synchronicity concept, the intuition concept, with what you were talking about, Ron, very simply, I think it does go to the idea that we as humans are psychic by nature. It's just a matter of being able to understand what that means and how to be able to practicalize it, like make it practical within like a modern day concept, and also again how to be able to like develop it through simply creating context and through creating new belief programs within our thoughts and everything like that. So a simple belief program is literally one where you switch from, oh, everything is random and meaningless, to, oh, the universe is actually communicating to me on a regular basis to be able to help assist me on my path. That little belief system changes the way you look at the world. So for those of you who are still adopting that belief system, welcome, because that's a very powerful belief system that I think more of the world needs to be able to understand, because again it goes back into our unity, it goes back into our interconnectedness on multiple levels, through metaphysical levels, digital levels, physical levels, and temporal levels as well. So like I said, guys, I want to be able to segue this into the intuition topic. We'll still be talking about synchronicity. We'll be talking about, the bigger picture and everything. I did just want to be able to, before I even, cool. I did just want to actually be able to check real quick, because I wanted to be able to read some of the comments that were actually on Instagram, and I'm just going to pull up that real quick, because I put up a post earlier on Instagram just inviting people to leave a little bit of, in their own words, what synchronicity is to them and what intuition is to them. So I'm just going to read some of these here, and so some of these will be the explanation of what intuition is, and this will lead us into the topic of intuition. So in your own words, explain what synchronicity is, explain what intuition is. Tree Dog wrote flowing and knowing. So I think that's in a very simple way to put it, I think that's like a very powerful way as well to, again, think of synchronicity as flowing. When you're in that flow state, you're in that natural flow state, synchronicity occurs. It can be more likely to occur. Intuition, the knowing, is kind of like this connection that connects with us, not always through like the physical events, but the reaction happens inside of us. First and foremost, it happens through our emotions. It happens through our thoughts. That's the knowing. PSV 1622 says, synchronicity happens when we are on our set path and doing what we're meant, what our soul decided we should do. And intuition is the inner feeling that we are about to do or not do what we are or are not to do. So thank you, PSV 1622. And next person, that's funny. This person's name is 6 and I will 9. So there's like a 6-9 in there. Again, with these synchronicities, it's always like, I always kind of play with this idea, you know, it's just kind of like, sometimes people get really weighted into synchronicities. To me, I'm always just kind of like, what does it mean? I'm like, everything, nothing, like at the same time, right? So little synchronicity, you just kind of like, you take it just like, oh, that's novel. And then you just kind of like, it goes and you move on. So 6 and I will 9, the person's username, says, synchronicity to me is the ability for different factors to complement each other, meeting at a point of no resonance. Intuition is one's ability to analyze and decipher thoughts and question in a way that allows them to see many different possibilities and outcomes when they formulate the decisions made based off of individual levels of intuition. In short, people with higher intuition seem to be able to make sense out of things much easier and create questions/solutions themselves. Creativity. That's very powerful. I really, really like that idea of like tying in intuition with creativity as well, and the idea that as we develop intuition, that can actually develop our ability to like problem solve. The next person, three Eves per, wrote Carl Jung, enough said. So there you go. So again, Carl Jung talked a lot about synchronicity back in the day, and I think there was a lot of relevance to that. I haven't studied his writings in too much detail, but again, I think he was just scratching the surface in a lot of ways. So it's up to us to go deeper. Chameleon 2525 wrote, synchronicity is signs and intuition is knowing. So again, what we were talking about there, signs and symbols. The universe communicating to itself through the language of symbols. That was something I should have said right at the beginning, which I normally do. Awakening Frequency Music, our good friend Sean says, some stuff happens that relates to some other stuff. That's synchronicity. And intuition is when you know some stuff intangibly. So again, intuition being the feeling. You can know things without like the physical evidence there. Environmentalist Guy Joseph says, it is what it is, flow. So thank you to everyone for engaging on the Instagram. You can go back to instagram.com /Mystic Spider-Man and leave your further comments on that, and be sure to connect with me there. But yeah, okay, so getting into the topic of intuition, and I know that we do have Jacob here, and we also have we still have Ogana is here. I assume the sun's probably starting to rise where she is, and just keeping an eye on the live chat. Shout out to Luna, Tam, and other people. Gina had to go to bed. Amanda's probably heading out soon. Sylphet, Kevin, thank you guys so much for being a part of here, and everybody else tuned into this wherever you are, whenever you are. Jacob, you can just type in the chat if you would like to share something on intuition in the next moment, and we'll pass it over to you as well. And so let's create a little bit of a time frame. Like I said, it's like already 2 hours right now. Damn it. I was like so serious. I was setting it at 2 hours. We'll play with this for no more past 3 hours, but ideally a little bit less, but as much as we can to be able to bring this full circle. So let me get into my intentional gamma state here as I just briefly explain intuition, and then we'll pass it over either to Jacob or anybody else. Let's see, what is my understanding of intuition? So to me, quite simply put, I think for me, the key to understanding intuition, again, goes back to the idea of understanding that we are already connected to the future. And Joel was talking about this, and I was talking about this as well. But intuition, the way I've come to understand it, can often be thought of as our physical body, our energetic body, feeling the ripples of the future reaching us in the present. And so again, intuitions can be like a sense of knowing. They can be like a sense of feeling like you need to do something, like you're being called to one direction or another. You're being called towards a choice. Intuition, like it's like I'm just trying to think of like even like the word intuition. Like what does the word tuition mean by itself? Like I know we know it in like the concept of school. Tuition must mean like, what does tuition mean? Tuition means like an investment. Is that what it means? Something like that? And then internal investment? Is that? I got to break that down a little bit more. I'm curious. But one thing I will just say real quick, and then I'll pass the talking stick because there's still more to talk about this. The thing with intuition that I've really kind of thought about that to me is a powerful idea, and this is why I share it with you guys, is being able to understand that intuition arrives through our physical body in different ways. And one of the ways that we can actually break this down, and I don't know if I read this somewhere or if I just thought about it, but it's basically the idea that intuition is felt through, and I've talked about this in past broadcasts, intuition is felt through our body through our chakra system. And this is actually like part of what the purpose of the chakra system is. So we can think of the chakras, the word chakra literally means like spinning disc. We can think of each chakra, you know, like all throughout the body, there's more than 7, but let's focus on the 7, as being portals, energy portals that actually receive energy beyond this space-time, beyond this linear time. So for example, our heart chakra can receive information from the future, and that can actually show up to us through things such as heart twangs. When we have like that feeling, again, you know, if you see someone who you kind of have a crush on, and maybe in the future you're already in a relationship with them, a common experience for humans is to experience a heart chakra, a heart twang is the term that I use, that feeling in your chest where you're like, oh, you know, like, oh, I'm a little excited or something like that, right? And it's a palpable feeling. And so like, that is one example, at least one way I try to explain it, of how we feel intuition throughout our different chakras. So I'll just hit upon this real quick. So another way how we would feel intuition, again, this kind of like feeling of the future, within like our throat chakra, intuition can come through kind of like what we're talking about now as like a gamma state process where it's just natural flow. You ever see me doing like freestyle flowetry or just like talking like really, you know, in a really eloquent way sometimes, not all the time, that can be kind of like an intuitive way of talking. You know, the information is flowing, you're receiving, the throat chakra is ready to receive that information. You're less in your head, you're more in your heart, and then the intuition is able to kind of show up and be integrated into our physical actions. And then of course we have like the third eye kind of intuitive feeling, which can sometimes show up as like visions. It can show up as just like an image that will flash in people's heads. And I think this is where it's going to change based on people's chakras. Like not every person's relationship with the chakras is going to be the same. Some people have like more connection with certain ones than others, or some are more open, some are more closed, and it's totally cool. We're all like processing them. And so, you know, just think about that. The idea of like, when you get like those aha moments, like sometimes, you know, even if you think about how inventors back in the day, some of them, you know, people like Tesla and even Einstein, they would get images through their imagination. They would get images through their dreams. And I guess the dreams thing could even relate to like crown chakra in combination with brow chakra. So brow chakra would like specifically be kind of like the visioning process, but then crown chakra would be like similar but a little bit different, where it's kind of like this like undeniable feeling of like aha kind of thing. And I guess it would probably relate to the dream. Again, I'm kind of making up the science for this as I go, right? But just going across the other chakras real quick, you have your other chakras, you're like your solar and your sacral, which is like that gut feeling. So again, like the solar and the sacral and the root are often associated with survival. And so like we have those gut feelings sometimes when there's like something that we're needing to avoid, or something that we need to do to put ourselves in a different situation, right? Like think about how this would actually be useful if you were in the jungle back in the day and there's like a jaguar chasing you and you didn't even know that the jaguar is there. But then there's like a signal from the future, so to speak. It's so weird, right? Where you're just like, you're just like, I have to move. Like, I don't know why I have to move, but I have to move. I have to like get up and go somewhere. And so again, the intuition is kind of like you're allowing the kind of natural flow of the universe to kind of give you that guidance. And we have the free will to totally ignore it. Like, that's kind of the thing, is that we can ignore it a lot. But when we're more in tune with it, that may be like the right thing to be able to be like, oh, okay, like I gotta go here, I gotta go there. And then sometimes you'll hear about intuition where it will literally save people's lives. You know, like somebody will be like about to cross the street, but then they'll just be like, you know, even a voice will come through them. And this is where, you know, you get into guides, and guides coming, communicating to us as what we recognize as intuition. Or again, it could just be more of a feeling in our solar sacral chakra, where it just be like, don't cross the road right now. Like, it's a green light for you, but don't cross it. Just don't cross it. And you're just like, okay. And then like, boom, a car goes by, runs the red light or something like that. And you're just like, whoa, like what the, you know, what's happening there, right? So like, you understand how the intuition is the future trying to help us. It's the information of the future. It's the knowledge of our higher self. It's the knowledge of our guides here to be able to assist us. So again, it's kind of opening us up into this multidimensional reality. And then again, similar to the sacral and stuff like that, you got like your root chakra, which again, sometimes like that can, like there's a lot of energy to the root chakra. Obviously we're talking about like sexual energy and stuff like that. But again, like the root chakra, similar to the heart twangs, it can be associated to like that feeling of like feeling pulled to want to be able to meet someone. Like it's interesting how like the intuition of our primal sexual energies can actually guide us towards meeting certain people. Like, you know, like sometimes it's really powerful where you think about like the idea of two people wanting to meet. A big drive of it can be the sexual chemistry. So if there is that chemistry there, you know, that will like help them like go like above and beyond sort of thing. Like that will be like a big part of the drive. Not to say that's why they're doing it, but just like the idea and the prospect of like the connection of that sexual energy, it shows up within our root chakra, where it's just kind of like it's best when it's combined with the heart, but it can just function individually. And sometimes, you know, this can also happen where like our intuition may not always be guiding us towards like the healthiest choices, but it'll be guiding us towards the choices that are best for us in that moment, even if it's like a hard lesson or something like that, right? So that's why sometimes like the root chakra can kind of like, maybe it will lead you to, you know, like hooking up with someone who you're going to regret or something like that. And you're just like, damn it, intuition, like I was listening to you there. But again, that relates to that meant that there was a lesson there that you were meant to learn, and to be able to maybe learn that wasn't what you wanted next time. So again, we have to kind of be able to orient our intentions, which will in turn be able to clarify the intuition that we are receiving. So again, we have to keep in mind that the intuition is information that's coming back from the future, which is really trippy to think about, right? But we are creating that future based on the intentions that we're setting now. So if our intention is, yeah, I just want to go hook up with a random person on bar night, we've created that reality, we've created that future, that intention's there, and then boom, the signal's coming back to us, and boom, the signal is being received, and that's what's going to guide us there. But again, if we're just like putting a more kind of, you know, an intention that is like something more in line with like a, I'm not trying to like, I'm just not trying to place any judgment or anything like that, but you know, you're making, I don't know what the best word is. I don't want to just say like wiser or something like that, but you're making alternative choices to be able to make choices that are going to help like serve yourself in higher ways, so to speak, in the bigger picture. You're creating those futures, you're creating those intentions, you're making those ripples, you're casting those stones into the future, you're shooting those branches out, you're programming that reality, and then the intuition being sent back to you is relative to what it is that you're programming for yourself. So if you're just like, oh well, you know, the future, the intuition's like guiding me in some really weird ways, well, it's like, well, what futures are you trying to create? The more clear you can get on the future, the more clear your intuition can get on guiding you there. And that's a really powerful idea, where if you literally set an intention where you're just like, okay, I'm going to be a kick-ass entrepreneur, and I'm going to be making like, you know, like 10K a month. Like I'm speaking for myself here, right? My intuition aligned with that future reality is going to be sending me information back through my openness and through my ability to receive it through like gamma state, whereas like, okay, you're going to wake up today and you're going to work on this, and this. And rather than me getting in this place where I'm stuck and I'm just like, frig, what am I going to work on today? What am I going to work on today? What am I going to do today? What am I going to do today? And I'm just like stuck and I'm not moving. If we're in good relationship with our intuition, then our intuition is basically like it's like walking the path that is already laid out in front of us. And so if my path is clear and my path is like, okay, I'm going to produce some awesome content today and serve the community in the best way I can through my devotion and compassion, then the universe is like, you're clear on that. Here is the intuition, which is basically like your walkway, like your pathway, your walkthrough. It is going to guide you through the path. It is going to guide you through the dungeon. It's like that. It's kind of like the ghost cart in Mario that you kind of like follow the track behind or something like that, right? So you can kind of, the intuition is like the future gently pulling us towards the future that we're creating. But again, it goes back to what future are we creating? What future do we want to create? Do we realize how powerful our thoughts are, that we are already creating the future right here, right now, purely through our intention? So, so those are just some of my thoughts on intuition. Let's pass the talking stick around, and I'll get you guys to talk a little bit about what intuition means to you. And if that resonates with you, drop some 1111s in the live chat for those of you tuned in right now. And cool. Okay. Let's see. Jacob, I can see your microphone is unmuted. I'm going to pass it over to you. Ron dropped an 1111 there. Thank you, Ron. I'll pass it over to you. Anybody else who wants to like talk next, just leave it, like type in the chat. For those of you in the Google Hangout, just type in the chat and I'll keep an eye open for that. Because I feel like Joel will want to say something. Ogana, if you're still around, you're welcome to say something. Jacob, I'm going to pull up your microphone here. And Jacob, can you just do a sound check real quick?
Hello.
Hey, dude. Awesome.
Is it working?
Yeah, it is.
Hey, how's it going?
This is like Jacob from LA, or is this a different Jacob?
This is Jake. I'm from Mesa, Arizona.
Okay, cool. Okay, so this is a different Jacob than another Jacob who we know. Jacob, have you been in the team circles before?
This is my first time. I actually
cool.
saw the live stream on one of the messengers groups, and I was really interested in joining and liking to share on
Awesome.
some inspiration and on some inspiration and the what's it called what were we talking, the intuition. Sorry.
Awesome.
So what I was saying here in the chat. So you're talking about chakras, and that's very important. With these chakras, these are like the 7 gateways, these 7 stargates that exist within us, and within the Hermetic principles talks about this idea as well, the 7 Hermetic principles. And the number 7 shows up in many areas. So you can see the number 7 with chakras, with the 7 Hermetic principles, and with the 7 alchemical steps of transformation and alchemical transmutation. So each of those alchemical steps has a psychological, chemical, and spiritual aspect that we can understand with the many layers of the ancient art of alchemy. So in this art in alchemy, there's the 5th step is called fermentation. And psychologically, the fermentation process, it starts with the inspiration of spiritual power. And from that, it above reanimates and energizes and enlightens the alchemist. Out of the blackness of his putrefaction, out comes a yellow ferment, which appears like a golden wax flowing out of the foul matter of the soul. Its arrival is announced by a brilliant display of colors and meaningful visions called the peacock's tail. Fermentation can be achieved through various activities that include intense prayer, desire for mystical union, breakdown of the personality, transpersonal therapy, psychedelic drugs, and deep meditation. Fermentation is the living inspiration from something that is totally beyond us. So there's this, Nikola Tesla talks about this idea of a universal core, which he believed that all inspiration, wisdom, and knowledge from throughout the past, present, and future exists omnipresently. So that is what the 5th dimension is all about. It's the reconciliation of the paradoxes and duality of the 3rd and 4th dimensions. And with that, in the 5th dimension, it's always about the now moment and what informations you can access in that now moment. And this goes back into this idea in philosophy of epistemology, the study of where does knowledge come from. So knowledge in this debate, it's called empiricism versus rationalism. So empiricism is the idea that knowledge comes from our observations from the five senses, and that all of information that we can get is interpreted through our brain through our five senses. And that the rationalism is the idea that we are inherently rational creatures that are born into this world with a complete and understanding inner knowing already. But to access that inner knowing within us of everything, one must bring it out of ourselves through the dialectical method of question answer. Yeah. So with this idea of knowledge and wisdom, knowledge, I've always saw the idea as an essence, or the idea of a form in philosophy is what they would call it. Plato would call it the Platonic forms. And an essence would be an essence of an individualized object, like a chair. The essence of a chair is there, that is not physical. It's an actual essence or idea of chairness, or of what that chair is. Now, with that idea, there is an infinite amount of essences in the universe that can be understood in an infinite amount of fractalized consciousness. But with that fractalized dimensions and multidimensionality, there is always going to be a singularity of all dimensions with wisdom. And that's what wisdom truly is taking everything of the all and trying to understand it as one thing.
Weird, man. I appreciate you bringing in like the alchemical perspective into this. How do you feel, like, based on like your understanding and everything like that? Like, how would you explain intuition? Like, how would you explain it to, maybe someone who like isn't too familiar with these topics?
So, like you guys were saying, it was really good. Like the idea of flow. So within this now moment, I like to imagine it as like a hallway, and that the now moment is a hallway that you can, in this hallway, you can look to your left and to your right, and there's an infinite amount of doors ahead of you. But in that hallway, in that omnipresent now moment, you can see all possibilities and all realities in front of you. But as soon as you turn to the left or turn to the right, then you're entering a new dimension or new paradigm shift into that reality, which so it all comes down to an experiment of duality, and that in the higher dimensions, there's no such thing as duality and only unity and a singularity of all things. And through that experiment, we came down into this dimension to experience a dualistic reality of left, right, feminine, female, male energies, and the idea of the as above, so below principles of correspondence and the principles of polarity and rhythm. With the principles of polarity, it's the idea that every truth is but a half truth. So like the idea like hot and cold, hot and like is just two extremes of a spectrum that is varying in degrees. And it's the same thing, it's the same energy, it just differs in degrees of polarity. So this path is very much so of the reconciliation of paradoxes, and to reconcile the paradoxes of the fourth dimension of time, because time is just a construct that humans have come up with, that we created our own fourth dimensional version of time. And there's higher dimensions aspects where time doesn't even exist in that dimension. And but we live in a fourth dimensional world, because the reason why we know that is because you cannot meet with a person unless you meet with them at a certain time and place. It's a full 4 dimensions going on there. So from our perspective, time is very real, but it is very actually an illusory thing.
And so do you feel, again, just kind of boiling it down and really focusing on like the concept
Sorry.
of intuition. Oh, dude, no, it's all good, man. Like, I'm just trying to, like, and again, this is all just practice and stuff like that. Yeah, in just like a concise way, like, what do you feel intuition is? Like, literally, what do you feel intuition is?
I believe it's the receiving of cosmic energies and the downloads of cosmic energies from a outside sources that are totally beyond us, that you can access through what you said, through these flow states, and um, you kind of it's like anticipation, almost like it's like you kind of already know what you need to do before it needs to be done. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever felt that, something like that before?
For sure, man. For sure. Yeah. No, I think that's a really good way of explaining it. Cool. Do you want to expand on that any more?
No, I think I think that's good.
That's good, man. No, and I appreciate you sharing like the just like kind of like the overview of the perspective that you had there, because again, like that's like good, and you explained it very well. So I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay, Jacob, thank you, and we'll pass the talking stick around some more. So I'd love to be able to get it back to you, as well as just being able to pass it over to Ron next. Ron, I'm gonna pass it over to you, and let me just pull up your microphone here. Ron, go ahead, man. Talk to us a little bit about intuition, maybe your personal relationship to it, and again, just kind of like how the understanding of it can actually like help us like live a more integrated life, I guess, as like a spiritual being, perhaps. So, and any other perspectives. Go ahead, Ron.
Sure. Well, the way that I see intuition is, I think intuition is actually our inner voice of Christ consciousness. For example, in ceremony, whether it's intense meditation, psychedelic medicine, oftentimes we hear vibrations. Some people may call them voices. Some people may call them their spirit guides or what have you. And in my journeys, I've heard many. I've heard the voice of Mother Earth. I've heard elementals. And the thing is that those are kind of like special guests. They don't arrive every time. However, intuition, every single time I hear my intuition. And my intuition has been my closest guide, my closest spirit guide in a way. It's in the journey with me. No matter what journey I'm taking, where I'm at, intuition is always there with me, always by my side. And it's within me. And there are times when in healing ceremonies, when I'm helping to facilitate, I'll be guided to do certain things. Guiding when to smudge, guidance on when to focus more energy on a particular participant, when to help someone who's struggling, or when to let them kind of go through their process, in their own, not by themselves, but, in their own energy, in their own space, and to just, watch, but, from afar. There are no rules. And like in my experience, there is no shamanic training. If one wants to be a shaman, especially in the West, there is no real like, go here and you will learn to be a shaman. They will teach you. You know, there's no Mr. Miyagi, but you learn by doing. You just do, and the way you do is you got to listen to your intuition, and you will find that when you work with healers, they are totally there. They're grounded, but they've gone to the point of where they don't care what other people think, how weird they look. You know, for someone to call in their animal guide and to take the form of their animal spirit, they must get to a level where they don't care what anybody else is thinking. And this is why ceremony is a safe place to have that happen, because it is a place of no judgment. There is no judgment. So what you see here, there's nothing to be judged about it. And because of that, that allows us to listen to our intuition. Like, I'm dancing, but I'm not dancing weird. I'm listening to my intuition. There is no weird because there's no judgment that says this is weird, you know? And once again, it's our intuition that leads us. I remember my first time facilitating, I was just speaking with Mother Earth and the elements, and I was just telling you know, the universe, Team Universe, you know, I just want to be open. I'm going to be an open vessel, and I'm not gonna, you know, limit anything. And what happened was I was just like, you know, using this energy here, placing this energy there. I mean, I was doing some things that you really couldn't believe I was doing, and even other helpers, they were like, "Wow, you could have fooled me that this was your first time." And one of them just straight up said, and she's like a sister to me, you know, you just listened to your intuition and you didn't limit your intuition, and that's what makes a good healer. And I believe that makes us all good healers, is by listening to our intuition. And it could also be something as little as like, I don't think I should be watching this, you know, or I don't think I should be talking about that person like this. You know, that's also intuition. It's our conscious. It's like, you know, Jiminy Cricket on our shoulder, you know, and it's our conscious. Let your conscious be your guide. Think about that. Always let our conscious be our guide. It's not just a song. It's not just an animation. It's a message. Always let our conscious be our guide. So in other words, listen to the divine that lives within us all, and that's intuition.
Yes. Awesome, man. Let me just I totally vibe with what you're saying there, and again, even just going off of what Jacob was talking about as well. While you were talking there, you know, I literally just did the obvious thing and looked up like the definition of tuition on Google. And in addition to like the idea of tuition often being thought of as things related to like money and lump sums and stuff like that, the word tuition literally goes back to its roots of meaning teaching. So, I mean, in that sense, like when we're thinking about intuition, the association with the word teaching is so valuable. That's so key. So it's like, what is our intuition? It is our inner teaching. And so if that's the case, then, you know, first of all, where is that teaching coming from? And second of all, are we being a student who is able to receive that teaching? How can we be a better student to be able to integrate those lessons better? Because I think this is where I kind of want to just bring the discussion for intuition before we conclude this broadcast is, you know, bringing in the practical perspective of how do we develop a healthy relationship with our intuition? What does that look like and how do we get there? And so again, you know, like I think I think different people have different relationships with their intuition based on their relationship with their physical body, with their heart, with their mind. And so if you're in a place where, you know, maybe you're just like eating the same shitty food, you have a shitty diet, you're just like not exercising, you're not really treating yourself through like self-care and everything like that, like it may be hard for you to identify the intuition. There may almost be like the gut signals and the heart things and the thoughts coming through in the back of your head, but it's like there's so much crap on your radar that the signal isn't properly getting through. Where if you're in like a clear space, you're you know, you got a good diet, you're just like eating healthy, you're exercising, you're feeling confident with yourself, you have a clear vision on your future, you're open to already being able to receive this inner teaching, then when it does arrive, you're just like, oh, you're able to recognize it, you're able to hear it, you're able to like understand like where it's coming from, why it is there, and how to be able to work with it. And yeah, and I think it's a powerful idea to think about how the intuition can teach us both what to do and both what not to do as well. And I think like that's an important thing, where what we will go through as we learn is the idea that the intuition, the purpose of the intuition is actually to teach us many things, but one of them may also be how to you know, like what it feels like when we go against our intuition. You know, that part of us that will be like, oh, I probably shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to do it anyways, because that's the pattern in the program that I've been repeating over and over and over again. And yet in the back of your head, and you can push this voice down as much as you want, but it's still going to be there. There's that little voice, the Jiminy Cricket, the intuition, that's just like, like you shouldn't be doing this. Like there's an alternative option. There's a better solution. There's a better way. There's a healthier choice. And so again, you know, we develop this relationship where we can literally take our intuition and just like shove it aside. We can like put like duct tape on its mouth and we'd be like, shut up, intuition. Like, I'm not listening to you. I'm a grown human person. I can do what I want. And we'll do what we want. And lo and behold, we'll get like smacked in the face by like cosmic 2x4s until we get the lesson to understand why the intuition is actually trying to teach us. And the intuition was like trying to be like, yeah, I told you that was coming. Like you could have ducked if you were listening. But again, you know, sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need those slaps in the faces, and sometimes we need to know what it's like to not listen to our intuition in order to understand why we should listen to our intuition. And again, you know, the intuition idea, it's very interesting because you can almost think of it as like a radio frequency. And so if that's the case, this radio frequency is something that can actually be used by multiple like transmitters, by multiple entities or higher or degrees of higher consciousness sending a message. And so again, that's where sometimes you can think of the intuition as literally communicating with your higher self. Sometimes you can think of it as like a form of channeling where you're communicating with like other entities, like, you know, like the Octurians and the Pleiadians or anything like that. Sometimes you can think of the intuition as being the communication between yourself and like a loved one who have passed on. And then, you know, even still, sometimes we can think of like the intuition as being like the connection between a friend or a lover, where we're kind of, you'll get that intuition where you're just like, you know, you might feel something. And again, it kind of relates back to like the psychic phenomenon, the psychic connection, where you might just be like, oh, like I just had a weird feeling about them. Like, I'm going to give them a call and check them up and be like, hey, like, you okay? And they'll be like, oh, actually, you know, like, I'm glad you called. Something happened, or something like that, right? But it can also be like a positive thing at the same time, where it's just like, hey, you know, I just wanted to call and tell you that, you know, like, I think you're awesome and I think you're great. And then like that person will be like, oh, like, thank God, that is exactly what I needed to hear right now. So again, the intuition, really just boiling it down to that idea of thinking of it as a teacher, then we need to pay attention of, are we being a good student? And again, that's where I want to pass the microphone back to you guys, pass the talking stick back to you guys. How do we become a good student? What does that look like? Again, you know, like that's us leveling up within the game, you know? So who wants to hold the talking stick next? If you guys can either type in the chat or unmute your microphone. I think, Joel, if you want to say anything, you just either turn your camera back on. That's cool. Ogana, I want to be, if you're still there, I would love to be able to pass the talking stick back to you as well. And then we do have Jared as well too. I did just want to be able to offer it to Ogana first. Ogana, if you're there, please feel free to just unmute your microphone if you would like to share anything. And if not, that's totally cool. I know you've been present and listening, and that's equally as important. So we'll pass it over to, let's pass it over to Joel, and then we'll pass it over, or let's pass it over to Jared, and then we'll pass it over to Joel. So Jared, I'm going to pass it over to you, and you can talk to us a little bit. Again, just kind of like, not just what your thoughts are on intuition, but again, like maybe some ideas of how we can develop a better relationship with our intuition so that we can become, you know, more effective cosmic citizens within this game. So Jared, passing the talking stick over to you, dude. Go ahead.
Okay. We can do this. Intuition.
Listen to your
And to
intuition
me,
as
we
we talk
see-
about intuition.
Yeah, and speaking of, it just got me down to the beach. I rollerbladed down here. If you can see it in the darkness here.
Awesome.
Nope. But I find that it correlates with even your emotions. Your emotions are like your GPS guiding people's soul. Literally, if you just chase your smiles, you're going to be in the right direction. And listen to that whisper in your ear. This positive whisper, not so much the negative one, unless you got shadow work to do. That's cool too. But this intuition with the emotions to react on that first guess, the best guess. And then maybe even balance with some logic to coordinate when you're, are they receptive? Can they handle, like the beginning of our conversations in this meeting? Most people can't handle the truth or different truths that go beyond where they're receptive to. I found years and years ago, listening to that little whisper in your ear always did me right. May not have understood it all, depending on what food, drugs I was on or inoculations affected me at certain periods of my life. And I mentioned that because maybe that's some issues people are going through, that it's not coming through so crystal clear because of these reasons, or the beer goggles interfere as you get in tune to the spirits, but it deludes our perception, fogs the lens, if you will. Do you listen to the negative beings that guide you towards all the negative things, negative thoughts? Or do you listen to the positive ones as we rationalize to our intuition, hearing that whisper and tune in and knowing between the spectrums how we can raise not so much the voice, but how we hear it and tune into it, because they talk very softly, not to infringe on our free will. I highly recommend anyone that wants to look into this deeper. Cryon's work has a wonderful video on intuition. It always comes with this shroud of mystery, as I quote him. I think that's for the entanglement with all the other humans here and other sentient beings, so we can investigate and not get stuck in our own perils of ourself, become this lobotomized monk, if you will, to do nothing. As one observation is we're involved with this whole planet of people, and we have this sense to interact. So interact, chase your intuition, chase your smiles, go in the positive direction. It'll always lead you in your direction, your truest heart's desire, your GPS guiding people's soul, as I call it. Any questions? Can you hear me there?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
that simple metaphor of thinking of it as GPS for the soul. I've heard that explained before, and I think that's a very practical way of being able to understand the significance of it. Where again, you know, it's like either we know the destination, or maybe we don't consciously know it, but our soul knows it. But we have to understand that, how does a GPS work? A GPS works when there is a destination. You know, it's not just randomly guiding you anywhere, maybe guiding you through the mystery, but there is an orientation. And so we kind of have to like trust in that process. And it's interesting how intuition can really deepen our trust as well. You know, imagine what your life would be like if you were literally just to follow your intuition. If you were to start saying yes to where it is guiding you, where would that take you? Right? A lot of people sometimes we don't really do that.
Questions. Some people think that, oh, it's my intuition when you're all anxious, angry, and upset. I almost guarantee you, if you're angry in any negative spectrum, it's going to get you more of that stuff. Chase the intuition that's the positive, the happy, where you want to be. They're both going to guide you like the internet. Whatever you type in that little search engine is going to pop up, whatever, no bias. This is a free will universe. You want to see crap, you're going to see crap. If you type it in on the internet or into the mental internet, as we attract these visualizations to us. So this brings into the law of attraction as well as part of intuition, as we compartmentalize and structurally understand how this guidance system works. It guides our souls like a GPS, turn right, turn left. Instead of that, it's like follow your heart, follow your love, follow your bliss.
Follow your,
but that's
your
easier.
passions,
Yeah.
follow what excites you. Yeah. Without
easier said than
disregarding
done,
your
though.
responsibilities at the same time. So, because like sometimes, sometimes we kind of get confused. We confuse ourselves because there will be a part of ourselves that will be like, oh, like a part of me prefers comfort and prefers being lazy and it prefers not taking responsibility.
pillow.
So like you'll hear that. But again, like that it's like, do we credit that as our intuition or do we credit that more as our conscious mind based on old patterns and belief systems that we can work on? Because again, I think the intuition is usually, it's not always, but usually like the little voice. It's and again, this is what we're talking about. It's the little voice. It's like the obvious voice maybe saying, be like, heck yeah, I'm gonna, like just like waste myself away on the couch and like, like watch more porn and eat crappy food and everything like that. That's not really your intuition fully telling you to do that. But again, maybe you do need to do that so you can learn how to get yourself out of that patterning. But you can. But yeah. There's a couple other things I wanted to hit upon. Go ahead, Jared. Yeah.
No, I feel with what you're saying there, like, yeah, it's not to be lazy. It's got your true heart's desire, why you're here, your mission. It's not to waver of that. You set those directions in a long time ago before you even came here.
Right.
Type of deal. Yeah, we may have tried to program it when your intuition was like, no, we know better. The society has to impose their will, if you will, or subjectively program us to this hypnotic trance of visualizations, that's part of the co-creating and looking into things, but it still keeps you on track. It still gets you out of bed because it knows you want to get out of bed. It still gives you those things that you want. And maybe you do need to hug your pillow once in a while, cry, let it out, reconfigure your emotions, get that shadow work out. So it's no longer there. I see that's a big thing with a lot of us. We've rolled in our shadows and all our negative emotions and put them away, and trying to deal with that becomes problematic for some. And I say, dig in, get rid of it, see what it is, see it doesn't serve you, don't let it screw you up again, take you off course.
Yeah, we can
work it out
about that. So yeah, that's where it gets back into self-mastery as well.
Well, it's hard for a little child to do that. This gets into the wounded child, and I think all of us have some form of this spectrum of the wounded child that we couldn't handle the hurt as a young child. Find what it is, address it. Say, okay, I was a kid, that sucked, mommy did that to me, or daddy did that, or they weren't around, but it is what it is, and know where the pain come from so it doesn't trigger you, because we're visually guided. So if we visualize, we're going to be guided to more of that. And do you really want that? That's powerful right there.
Yeah, I like. I was thinking here, and again, we'll pass the talking stick in a second, and I'll let you just anything else you want to share. But again, I was just listening to you talk and stuff like that. I was relating the idea of intuition with destiny, because again, kind of like the GPS coordinates. As a soul, we have to understand that we set those a long time ago. Like there's still new ones that we're setting now. But in a sense, you can almost think that those new ones that we're setting are actually more like new ones. The coordinates that we've punched into the GPS a long time ago, and the directions are being given to us. And this is a very powerful thing because again, for a lot of people, they're going through this reality and they just feel like it's random, it's chaos. They're flying without a guidance situation, a guidance device. But how much would it change us if we actually knew that we did have like this internal guidance system that was there for the purpose of being able to help, to help things move forward. Because if that wasn't built into this reality, then yeah, there probably would be much more chaos than there needs to be, and symmetry would still arise, but it would probably just like take longer and things like that, and we probably wouldn't be able to get as much done in a single lifetime as we could if we had intuition integrated into our experience. And so you can almost think of, again, as intuition as like a form of like spiritual technology that is there with a purpose to be able to work with us the best way we can in this path and everything like that. And so again, like, it's kind of interesting, and this is just off the top of my head, and we don't have to get too much into this, but you think about how intuition shows up within our life, and then you think about other conscious creatures, different levels of consciousness, such as animals and plants, and it's like, specifically like a non-human person, and just thinking about like how do they have intuition, or is their intuition just nature? They
have a form of guidance.
Well, that's what I mean.
They're cognitively separated to some degrees. You can even see 5 fingers on a human. A dog will have the 4 and the opposing thumb up. And the dimensional aspects of correlate to consciousness. And then you have the 2 hooves in different animals. So it would be equivalent if you ever spend time with a child, how they can perceive things and how you have to use different analogies and things of their cognitive perception to relate and reach them becomes evident. Or I think they got it right when it comes to, like, you meet 2 kids, you see them running around at the park, they've never met each other. They got that right. You play. That person before us, that hurt us, isn't the new person in our life. So why do we continually, as human beings, want this emotion, but then treat the new person in our lives as if they were the one that hurt us? Granted, there are logical reasons behind this and to be somewhat skeptical, but the reality is give them a chance. They didn't hurt you. Don't punish them for something they never did.
Yeah.
And that's why I love when children just play, and that's how I roll.
Yeah.
I just play.
That's them and their intuition.
I freak people out.
Yeah. But yeah.
Just play, have fun,
Yeah, like, but where I was going, just in a slightly, just kind of like finish.
Yeah, animals and sentient beings, yeah.
Yeah, like,
bring it back to where you were.
Well, yeah, because that's what I was thinking of, like, like what we identify as intuition, does that same energy show up within other places of nature, literally just as nature, just as, a tree doesn't need to be told how to grow, it just does. And yet, as we complicate things, as we add these, other layers of the brain, the neocortex, and we get into this process of free will, it seems that, the purpose of free will is there to kind of give us the choice to step off our path, but then the intuition is there as like a safeguard to be able to help make sure that we're still able to find our way back onto it, knowing that we will kind of wander off of it. And even still, wandering off of it is still part of the bigger path, so to speak. But yeah, I want to be able to wrap up this broadcast soon in a little bit. The journey, exactly. I want to be able to wrap up this broadcast in the next little bit. I just want to be able to mention just a couple other things, and I'll let you say just a couple more things, Jared, and then we still got a couple more people I want to be able to hear from. There was one thing that I talked about earlier, and it was basically this idea of like the energy sensations that we get up our spine sometimes, and how this relates. First of all, I'll just step back a bit and again specifically tie in the concept of intuition to synchronicity, because again, why these topics relate is that when we're listening to our intuition, it allows us to be able to be in the place for synchronicity to be able to meet us. That's often what happens, is that the intuition will kind of guide us. We'll be listening to our intuition when we'll be downtown and be like, oh, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go this way, I'm going to go this way. And then we run into our friend on a street corner at the right place at the right time, or we run into the love of our life at the right place at the right time. So again, it's like you use your intuition to be able to meet synchronicity, to be able to show up for synchronicity. That's the very simple way to be able to understand it, which again, this is where, the practical side of being able to encourage you guys to do things like free hugs. Eventually you can get to the level where I'm familiar with, where, when I'm out there doing free hugs, like I'm literally using my intuition to travel around town. And lo and behold, I'm showing up at the right places at the right time for those synchronicities to occur with the free hugs and everything like that. The other thing, going back to the energy sensations of the spine, this is kind of related, but I feel like you know, the energy sensations of the spine, those can happen in many different ways, and oftentimes they can happen during a moment of synchronicity or during a moment of intuition. And I feel that those I often refer to them as like activation sensations, where it's like, you know, you're listening to a good song and you're feeling really inspired and it really means something to you, and you get like this tingling sensation of the spine. It's, I mean, ASMR is what some people know, and I think that's kind of tapping into the same thing, but there's like another layer to it. This sensation, I feel, is actually like a very important sensation to become aware of, to be able to learn how to open ourselves up to, and also to be able to learn how to ride. This is a slightly different topic, but I'll just mention it here real quick. If you notice yourself getting the activation sensation, oftentimes it will come through you and it'll just be like happen and it'll be over within like 3 or 4 seconds. It'll just be like, whoa, that was cool. You can actually train yourself to be present with your breath in that moment, and you can literally prolong that sensation. I mean, it's kind of, you know, this is where you almost get into like a similar thing would almost be like, you know, prolonging an orgasm in a sense. It's kind of similar, but it's a little bit different. I've done this. I've done this where specifically I've had the energy sensation. I was present in my breath, and literally like with each like breath, like I was able to like bring that sensation back. And I've done this on multiple occasions where I've had that energy sensation prolonged for like 2, 3, 4 minutes, where I was just like there and I was in it. So I just want to let you guys know that that's an actual thing that you can experience. So again, yeah, some people refer to that as like a Kundalini energy as well, and I believe it is. Oftentimes, like I kind of like I'm half joking when I say this, and I'm like, oh yeah, like when you do that, it's like your DNA activating or something like that. Like again, I'm half joking. Maybe there's it's something activating though. Like it's when you do that, it's like again, it's like the lightning bolt that we were talking about earlier. Lightning bolt that is connecting your higher self with your earth self, and then it's like and it forms that connection, and then you're just like, oh, you can feel the energy moving through you. So again, be aware of that sensation, because those sensations can sometimes come through in relationship to hearing or intuition, where, you know, you might feel something and then the energy sensation comes and you're just like, oh, and like really pay attention to that, because that correlation of that sensation is there for an indication. It is there to mean something, and it's up to you to kind of be able to process what it means. But again, the energy sensation is a very powerful thing. Okay, we still have Jared. I'm gonna pull up your microphone. Sorry, I just did have it down for a second there. So Jared, go ahead, and then we're gonna pass it over to either Jacob or Joel.
Just let you know, your audio cut out on you, and you're
okay.
chipmunking on us.
I think the audio was coming. I think the audio was coming through in the live chat. Okay. For those in the live chat, just drop an 1111 if the audio is fine.
Every time you turn, your microphone moves.
Okay, but it might have just been in the Google Hangout. I think
you gotta check your connection.
I think it was just a Google Hangout. If you guys in the Google Hangout, or sorry, if you guys in the YouTube chat, just drop an 1111 if it was fine.
In and out.
Again, if anybody,
okay,
Jared, 1 second. Okay, I'm just double checking. For those of you in YouTube, just let me know with an 1111 if you guys are hearing me okay in the YouTube chat, because that's the priority. If it's coming through there, it's okay. If you guys can't hear me in the Google Hangout, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so
now.
Yeah, they can hear me fine through the broadcast, so it's okay. But Jared, go ahead. I'm just passing the talking stick over to you, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast no more than 10 minutes. So go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, like you were saying, as you get to the point where your intuition can guide you, it's blissful in a sense, but a lot of people in peril. But it's almost like trusting your GPS and understanding it is going to get you in your direction. So when it says take a right, it's going to get you there. It knows when traffic's going to be there. It knows your whole route, and it can see everything. It's got way more of an advantage to see everything ahead of you. Even the subtle stops to smell the roses or wherever you might want to see, or somebody along the path. To listen to it and trust it, get to that point. But that has to be with your blissful. You get so used to being happy and just choosing. You're even if it's simple like me, I just got restless. I just left. I knew being outside in this beautiful weather is better than being indoors. And I just took a stroll down the beach on my rollerblades and had more fun. And you just keep picking the choice that's in front of you at the present moment that's better than the other one. This choice is better than the other one. And keep rolling with that until you get to a point where it's just like you're just doing you all the time, and it's going to guide you, and you're just going to be this energetic ball of attraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and that's again, that's a state where I want to be able to help more people get to that, where they're moving out of unnecessary suffering and into like more prolonged and consistent states of bliss and gratitude. And
you know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody's going to have their down moments. Everyone's going to be in that. We're going to have to shuffle around that. It's kind of like if you're rollerblading, it's a blast, but you're going to have a downtime where you're stopping. You're going to be
Yeah.
talking to somebody else.
Yeah,
It's going
and
to change up.
yeah, and again, and that's where again, like so Jared, okay,
I'll give this bit
go-
of information.
go ahead.
To
We're
those
gonna pass the
that
talking
want
stick
to
in a
do their
second,
shadow
Jared.
work.
And I just want to let you finish.
Can you hear me?
and- Yep. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah. So the people are in these negative spaces, and it's where we're all accepted to talk about our crap too, and work through that and smile through it and just laugh about it and not hold each other so like oh, I'm not going to go around that person because they're so negative. Help them through it. If they had what they needed in their head to get through it, then they would have done it. We got to realize people need help. We don't have all the answers collectively. So
Yeah.
even if it's just one little thing someone mentions or a kind gesture to give them a peanut butter sandwich or something, I have no clue. But something is better than seclusion and
Yep.
saying goodbye.
Yeah,
you know?
we need to synchronize our hearts, synchronize our efforts. Yeah, and again, just like being able to give people the tools of like being able to reprogram themselves through, again, belief programs, belief systems, perceptions, wisdom. Okay, cool. Jared, I want to be able to pass it over to somebody else. Is that
Pass
cool with
it
you?
along.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Ping
Thanks,
pong
dude.
it. Go.
All right. Joel, I'm gonna pass it over to you. You got your video open, so I assume you got something to say. Jacob, I still want to be able to give you a chance to talk as well. And then, like I said, guys, we'll wrap up this broadcast very shortly. So thank you again, everyone. This has been a great one. Let me just get the microphone up here. Joel, okay, pulling up your microphone, passing the talking stick over to you. Joel, go ahead. Any thoughts that you would like to bring to the roundtable based on what we've been talking about?
Yeah, intuition, just like very briefly. So just one of the most important things, like everybody knows how important meditation is, but just as much as possible, that will bring in that inner voice as much as possible. And just to slow down throughout the day and really allow that intuition to come through over the third dimensional, constant trying to move too fast sort of thing. And another key thing about the intuition is that when you guys have these insights that come from within without any knowledge of where it came from, we really need to start trusting our intuition. Because especially in the future, we're going to a place where we're going to be finding out things without having any scientific or like research about it. And we just need to trust it and implement it and just go from there. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to add.
Word. I dig it, man. Yeah, no, I definitely it's a powerful idea to think about that there's aspects to this universe that are going to be challenging for our logical mind to be able to trust, but our intuition will be there in those moments to be able to be like, no, it's okay. Like you can, just relax, let the flow kind of like move you, let yourself be carried along the stream. I feel like that's often the case, often within like psychedelic experiences where our logical mind will try to reason things, but then like our intuitive mind, which again is kind of like that higher voice, is just kind of like it's okay, like like we are with you type thing. So again, the intuition, you can literally think of it as like it's like literally like God as yourself here with you. It's helping you. It's like Legend of Zelda. It's like Navi, the little fairy who's floating around you, who's like, hey, listen. Like, right? Like, is that not a great metaphor for the intuition? And what was she about? She was there to like assist you on your path, journeying through like Hero of Time style. So, awesome. Thank you, Joel. Let's pass it over to Jacob, and then I'll just let anybody else share any other closing thoughts. Then we'll wrap it up. Jacob, I'm just going to bring up your microphone and passing the talking stick over to you, Jacob. Any other thoughts on intuition or just things that you would like to pass on to the audience? Go ahead, dude.
Sure. Hello. Alrighty. So I found that intuition is a part of a second way of knowing, which the alchemists called the lunar path of knowing. It's more of a kind of intelligence which is nonlinear, it's image driven, and it's an intuitive way of thinking, which is an accepted tool with arts and religion. A lot of these symbols, we can see it as the moon and as water, Mercury, the queen, the Holy Ghost, the soul, and ultimately the one thing of the universe. So whenever there's right brain activity that deals with drawings, paintings, mandalas, symbols, music, and meditation, it's associated with the lunar path of knowing things. Now, in alchemy, there's also the counteractive correspondence of the solar path. Now, that is the first way of knowing. It is the rational, deductive, argumentative, intellectual thinking that's the hallmark of science and patriarchal Western culture. The alchemists called this the solar and assigned it many code words, such as the sun, fire, sulfur, the king, spirit, and ultimately the one mind of the universe. So that's anytime there's any left brain activity like lists and linear thought, schematics, formulas, arguments, and logic, it's associated with this path. Now, ultimately, the alchemists believed that of a perfection that can be acquired from using these two lunar and solar energies into an integrated path. They believed this to be, they called it the philosopher child, or the stellar path, which is the sacred marriage of both the king's and queen's viewpoints. They believe that this perfection could only be achieved by balancing the solar and lunar and ultimately uniting them in the third state of integrated existence, which the Egyptians alchemists called the intelligence of the heart. Now, anytime when you said earlier, like, how can we become a better student? It seems to be where, like, it says it right here in an aphorism in the Kabbalion, where follow the footsteps of the master, the ears of those ready for his teaching opens wide. And when the ears of the students are ready to hear, then cometh lips to fill them with wisdom. And again, the lips of wisdom are closed, except to the ears of understanding.
Mm-hmm. Sorry,
yeah.
That's good. That's good, man. I love the way that you're like bringing in like the ancient alchemy perspective and just like the words that they use, and just thinking about like again, this is nothing new. This is nothing new that we're getting into, but you know, there have been people in the past who've been exploring this mystery as well. And yeah, I like that though. Even just thinking of it as like the intelligence of the heart. I feel that's a very simplistic way for us to be able to understand it. So again, it's like when we are in our heart, we are able to like listen to the wisdom of it. We are able to be guided by it. And this is, you know, even going back to like the past broadcast that we did in the meditation that we did with like the Sasquatch, like that was the message of the Sasquatch, teaching us how to like be back in our heart. Yeah. And knowing that is like, you know, that's what we need. That's what we need, because that heart connection reminds us of like the bigger connection to the soul, to the king, to the Father, to the Son, to the all is one. So cool. Yes. Go ahead, Jacob. If there's more that you want to share, please do.
Yeah. So the this oneness perspective that we use, it is very much so like you said, the intelligence of the heart. There's according to the Heart Math Institute of Science, they just had this study of where they put these equipment on people's hearts and on their head. They measured the brain waves and their heart waves, and they put these pictures on the screen, and they found out that the heart reacted to the brain when it came to seeing like an image of a snake, and that the heart reacted first, and then the information then goes to the brain. So from that, they have this hypothesis that our heart is actually what receives information from the universe from outside time and space, and then translates that into our mind, where it gives us a rational and creative left and right paradigm that we can, and that's very much evident inside politics and with religion and with spirituality. You see it, like they talk about the political spectrum. All of this is just a spectrum, like they say, of the left, right, center paradigm of things.
For sure, man. Yeah. No, it's interesting to be able to see it that way. Of again, just kind of like us becoming more aware of, you know, like the different intelligences that we have within us, the different voices that we have within us, the voice of the brain, the voice of the heart, integrating the two, understanding like where each one is kind of like receiving information from. Because again, it seems like our brain, if we're calling it that, oftentimes like its thought process is based on how it's been structured, based on the environment, whereas the heart is kind of like this again, an intuitive connection to a deeper wisdom, to a bigger source connection. So again, it's important to be able to listen with both. Understanding that both have a purpose. Again, kind of going back to like the the male, female, left, right side of the brain. It's when you, the yin yang, it's when you integrate both of them, and even when you begin to see the edge of them, the edge of that thing, the edge of anything is always very important within like the, even just the esoteric perspective of things.
Yes, that's very interesting that you say that, because I once heard that the edge of science is magic and the edge of magic is science.
Yes. That's that's beautiful. I love that. Absolutely. I feel that. So cool, man. Cool. Well, again, let's get it close to wrapping this up. Jake, any other just either like practical things that you would just want to be able to pass on to anybody listening to this? Any closing thoughts on intuition and synchronicity and anything? So, and you've already shared some amazing stuff, so thank you.
Let me think. So it's always going to come down to, again, seeing like things as one aspect or one singularity of unification, or knowledge, which is seeing things as a lot of separate different things, and trying to piece all those separate things back together as one would be wisdom. So trying to play around with that in your mind and in your mental constructs. The mental constructs I've discovered is the intermediary between the physical and spiritual planes, and it's actually our mental processes is what brings the non-physical spiritual aspects down into the physical and manifests it down from a high density that we cannot perceive in this dimension, down into this materialistic dimension through the aspect of actually thought and mental vibrations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I hear you, man. Cool. Yeah. All right, is that good?
Yeah, I'm good.
That's good. That's awesome, man. Sweet. Cool. Okay. Yeah, again, thank you everyone. This has been some really good just practice, being able to talk about some of the things that we don't normally get a chance to talk about. That's why we're here. And again, the intention here is that we gain a wider perspective. We expand our perception. We shift our paradigms to be able to understand that, these concepts are things that can be integrated, that we can work with them, that we can understand them. I often think of this reality very much, again, akin to a video game, akin to software, and akin from like the perspective of a hacker, where as a hacker, our objective is to be able to understand the system, as best as possible, and then when we can work with it, we can integrate it, we can weave our way through it, we can surf with it, and sometimes where we're able to, we can even kind of find back doors and ways to be able to accelerate where most people might not always be able to be capable of perceiving them. So I feel like this reality has a lot of kind of, almost like these they're not like cheat codes, but they're like ways of being able to kind of see with sight beyond sight. And that is what I feel is something that we can all begin to do. We can all begin to develop sight beyond sight. And that sight beyond sight comes from understanding how synchronicity works, what synchronicity is, why it is there, how it is serving us towards the path of consciousness awakening itself, how it is helping us guide us on its path. And again, and what intuition is, how intuition is actually information from the future coming back to us in the present moment to be able to help guide us into better choices, into more grace, into more excitement, towards the lessons that are going to serve our greatest growth, and even even towards the opportunities where we'll be able to assist others and serve them on their path as well. So I just wanted to be able to check real quick and just be able to pass the talking stick around one last time to just be able to give people a chance to any closing final thoughts, as well as just any gratitude that they would like to be able to express for the community and for the circle that we have here as well. So Joel, I'll just pass it over to you real quick, and again, just closing thoughts and any gratitude that you would like to express. Go ahead, dude, when you're ready.
I'm grateful for gratitude.
I dig it. Cool. Anything else?
No.
That's good. Well, awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, dude. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's awesome to connect. So go Team Canada. Yes. So cool. All right. Jared, I'll just pass the talking stick over to you. Thank you, Joel. Just any closing thoughts, gratitude you would like to express. Go ahead, dude.
Yes, much gratitude to this movement and everybody that's on the same page, seeking to reunite in a sense, because I feel like we've known each other all from somewhere else. So I have gratitude that we're on our path to clarification in our ways.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little out of breath. I've been rollerblading downtown.
That's good, man. That's good. You've been getting exercise. That's good. Open you up. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely. You know, again, I think the key word of clarification is really, really important, because I think clarity is akin to lucidity. And as we develop that, again, you know, this is, say this time and time again, this is about like the dream awakening to itself. This is us awakening to our potential. This is us becoming more in sync with who we are, what we are capable of, so that we can integrate this knowledge and then bring it with us into community, be of service to others, integrate it into our art. And there's stuff that Jacob was talking about there earlier, and I'll just say this real quick. You know, thinking about how, for everyone listening out there, thinking about how you can use your intuition. Focus on using your intuition with your creativity. That's a very powerful idea, because again, you know, there is a and your passions, as Jared's saying, there is a voice, there is an expression, there is an energy, there is consciousness inside of you that is looking to blossom like a flower. That is nature in itself. It is looking to express itself. And so if we listen to the intuition and allow, like, give it a channel, this is really practical, you know, give it a channel to be able to express itself into wish within, as Jared just said.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jared.
I look at all the people that might be listening, and there are probably a few skeptical people, even ourselves, have a moment of doubt. But I think we can all have a moment of reality of the intuition and the power of it, and how it's been guiding us throughout our life, if we just recall.
Yeah.
Even guiding us in negative ways to learn and experience things
Quote,
that we
unquote,
need to see.
ways. Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, like if you're here on this earth, then you are no stranger to intuition. You are no stranger to synchronicity. Like, it has been a part of your life. It's just a matter of like whether or not you've been aware of it. And so at this point, it's about developing that relationship by becoming more aware with it, and then fostering it, allowing it to become more collaborative, allowing it to become more synergistic in that sense. Yeah, and again, you know, Jacob was just mentioning the idea of like using poetry again. So really, really encouraging you guys, like, this is your mission as shifters, to be able to practice creating and practice your creations, practice your creativity. Be aware of like what your intuition is capable of expressing through the art forms, through like the many ways in which we can bring this inner voice out into this world. Because again, you know, this is kind of the big idea. It's about, and I talked about this before, we are like the bridge between worlds, the bridge between higher consciousness and here on the physical plane. And so that intuition is that voice of like the universe of consciousness, kind of like looking to come through us. And what we can do physically serving it is to give it a place to come through. And that can come through our art, that comes through our heart, that comes through our actions, that comes through our communication, that comes through our relationships that we have with friends and loved ones, and we see ourselves show up. And when we do that, we give the chance for the soul to see itself, for us to be able to see itself. So again, you know, it's like there's this there's this bigger part of us, and it is coming through us. It is being birthed into this world through our actions. And so be aware of like how we can create channels for that. We can create, like streams, and you can think of intuition in the same sense of creativity, where it's like a flow. It's literally water. It's the Alwyn is the term that is used by like the druids, so like allow the channels to be create the channels for the Alwyn to flow. And so if you're just like, I need to get more in tune with my intuition and everything like that, create channels, create space for you to practice doing art is just the very simplest way. Create a space for you to be able to practice expressing yourself and feel what it's like to just like even do some poetry on the spot. Flowetry is the thing that I do, where it's like freestyle flowetry. You just do that in your spot. And it's the best place to do it is when no one is even watching. When you're out and about, or just like, like go out in nature, even if you want, like work with some cannabis if you want, really kind of like tap into a higher state, and then just kind of like allow yourself to get into this cadence where you're just kind of like letting words come through you. And then again, you can almost kind of like step back where you're kind of observing yourself talking, but you're still in control. And it's this really beautiful type of process where, again, even very much like with what I'm doing right now, it's really trippy when you think about it, where it's like, how are these words coming out of my face? How do I know how to say so many, how do I make all these noises in a way that you can comprehend them? And in the moment right now, it's less about me actually thinking about what I need to say and more about me just being present and allowing what needs to be said to come through, right? So it's like that subtle difference, and being able to understand what that feels like with inside you. The Alwyn, just responding to Kevin in the chat, AWEN. You guys can look it up. So again, really encouraging you guys to get out there and practice being creative. Again, I just wanted to be able to pass it over to Jacob. Just any closing thoughts and gratitude, and then we'll wrap up this broadcast. So Jacob, I'm just gonna bring up your microphone. Again, thank you for being here, dude. I'm glad you synchronistically connected with it. So any closing thoughts and gratitude? Go ahead.
Instead of any closing thoughts, could I share a poem that I wrote?
Yeah. So I saw the chat come up there. Go ahead, dude. Go ahead. This is one you wrote?
Yes.
Awesome. Go for it.
So, when I was a child, I looked at the sky. I wondered quite freely if one day I'd fly. In the darkness I wailed and I wandered about. I saw a great spark going over and out. In my dreams I see laughing and love all around. Sorry. One second. Sorry, I lost track.
No worries. Go for it.
Wait. Okay. Let me start over. When I was a child,
you get to pause the playback for a second.
Okay. Sorry, I'll start over at, I was ready to go and to stretch time away. I was seeing the beauty of the perfect form. I was over my head, was away from the norm. I'm an individual who's experiencing reality, infinite spiral, evolution, insanity. People fear what they don't understand, like to hide in a box and to follow demands. Corporations control using symbols like brands, burning an insignia into your ego. Falsified happiness collapses like Legos, centering around the clock, dynamic pulsating electric shocks. Prismatic beams of light flowing through the dark night, coming back as one source. Star Wars man with the Force. Gnosis is not hocus pocus. Try not to lose focus. They say I'm a wizard. Stay away from space lizards. Cosmic space spiders weaving, dreamscaping and believing, a web of lies, see with golden eyes, to avoid our demise, love to become wise. I'm a philosopher child, I'm sort of mild, son of Sol and Luna, swimming around like a tuna in the primordial waters. Gotta love Sophia's daughters, named Faith, Hope, and Love. Peace like a white dove, spherical astral realms, astral body in an elm, village of elves with multiple selves. How do you measure wealth? Calcinate greed, ego, and filth. Purification through the fire with a long spiral wire. Dissolve the ashes in water in a smooth manner. Separation from self-restraints. Breath of fresh air, don't faint. Conjunction of matter and earth. Physically here with some worth. Time to enter the mind. Leave the four elements behind. Fermentation of self, don't wail. Visions of a peacock's tail. Phoenix rising through the colors. Philosophy and science are brothers. Distillation with the purification. Circulation of light multiplication. coagulation of the soul, free from the body of Ol, into a body of light, golden ambrosia of might. This is my magnum opus, knowledge of truth with focus. Philosopher's stone in my hand, existing in all the lands.
Yes.
That's done.
Snap, 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 snap. Dude, that was awesome, man. And that was
Thank
something
you.
that you just kind of like wrote in a session once, and it just kind of flowed through you.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Awesome. That's a great example of again, you know, what we as humans are capable of bringing forward into this reality. So, dude, good job, man. Do you write
Thanks, man.
do you write poetry here and there? Is there more stuff you've written?
Yeah. I've written another poem if you want to hear it.
If
Like, it's not too long.
Sure, man. Yeah. Go
Sure,
ahead.
all right.
There people
Yeah.
people really enjoyed that. You're getting some
Okay.
good love in the comments. So go ahead,
Cool.
man.
All right. So love is all around. It's sweet and sound. Within and without, resolve all the doubts. Air breathes on down as it touches our crown. Kings and queens of earth, divine right in your birth, manifest all around as you breathe and ground. You are the one and all. Don't fear and fall. Come and take your place and feel God's grace. All is possible. You're bright and full. Your focus brings it here. Your faith takes it there. And now we're here. All that holds dear. Direct source incarnation that thinks in its location, the beauty and the perfect form. To be you, what is norm? Alchemical fire, calcination, spiritual flight, education. The phoenix is rising, on top of the pyre ablazing, infinitely rising upwards, talks to sheep and shepherds. Illusions are called real. Try to get your appeal. Be careful what to trust. Testing it's a must. Dancing flames of fire on top of the pyre, a feather blown away on a blissful sunny day. With the ease of ebb and flow, we all reap what we sow. Souls merge together as one. In the now, let's have some fun. Letting go of the worries of past. Being here finally at last. Ascending ever higher above, with hearts filled with divine love. Sailing on the quantum wave, experiencing the new on the path that's paved. Riding in the left lane full of spirit. Feeling ungrounded yet with good merit. Riding the right lane grounded to earth, clinging to material to find worth. The middle path where two extremes meet. This is where you'll find my soul's seat. Translucent and clear, golden eye drop energy waves, remembers its vibrancy to save. It comes from the center of all, brightens away like a great ball. Infinite interwoven reality frames, looking at things differently, never to be the same. The microcosm meets the macrocosm. Jacob's ladder leaves a great chasm. Infinitely going up and down, vibrationally connected, no need to frown. A beautiful, infinite, universal melody song, many octaves of realities never gets you wrong. Spirals of energy swirling around, unlimited manifestations are profound. Waiting for a savior without, finding the savior within, no doubt. Following the path ready to serve, guiding others on the space-time curve, bringing them back to the one, speaking truth that is not spun. Sacred geometry and fractal waves, philosophers climbing out of the cave, breaking free from controls. Flee the thought police patrols, breaking through the chains, shifting to new with birthing pains. Dreaming a dream in a waking state, not paying any attention to the date. Interconnected dreams simultaneously, drinking from a nice herbal tea, experiencing no beginning or end, watching space fold and bend, cosmic encounters of another kind, tread lightly among the spiritually blind. Symbols speak 1,000 words, truth is mightier than a sword, cutting through the illusions deep, having great faith to take a leap. Into the arms of the Creator, not knowing for sure you'll know later. Going within and ask to know, your higher self goes with the flow. All the answers of life are inside. Be careful not to have excessive pride. On this path, learn to be humble, or else things around you crumble. Moderation in all things, and enjoy what it brings. Narrow middle path of balance, like an interdimensional dance. The oneness of all omnipresence. God is everywhere, universal essence. Infinitely complex conscious creations, existence of infinite dimensions, secretions of the pineal gland, stargate portal inside so grand, light pouring out of the gate, a wave that flows called fate, given and receiving energy freely, feeling God's love so deeply. Awaken, remember, receive thought forms, manifestation of thoughts, they break norms. Intention, think it, act it, be it, sow it. The world around you matches it. Treat others the way you want to be treated. If all did this, equal respect can be seated. The guardians of white light, prismatic rainbow beings of might, keeper of the golden ray, do not be led astray. By being center, you help all. Let us evolve and not fall. By accepting a new reality, we accept that it is not fantasy. That's it.
Bravo, man. Bravo. Dude, that was awesome, man. That was so cool. Did you how long
Appreciate
ago
it.
how long ago did you write that? Thank you, man.
Like a few months ago.
Cool.
About?
Cool. Awesome,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, no, I think that's a beautiful example for, I mean, again, you know, those listening, that's inspiration. And that's exactly, again, you know, like what we encourage through community is that, you know, we inspire people, we inspire each other, we show each other what's possible, we lead through our example. And, you know, so Jacob can do this because we can do this, because you can do this. And again, you know, I really encourage people to just find ways in which they can naturally express themselves. Maybe for everyone, it's, you know, it'll be something different. And so just keep in mind that, you know, in the same way Jacob has written poetry, or I've done flowetry or anything like that, you know, you can take that and apply it to something immediate, such as dance. And that would be like an easy one that I would really encourage people to do. It's like, literally, you know, after this broadcast, make a note during your day to practice kind of allowing your body to intuitively dance and feel what that's like, because that's actually going to develop like a space for you to be able to connect more with your intuition. So again, like the intuition has this natural like playfulness to it, and I think that's a really beautiful thing, is that like the universe itself is very playful. And so
Yes.
when we kind of create the space for that to happen, the universe is like, yeah, let's get novel, let's get creative, let's get expressive and everything like that. And that comes through us in many different ways. So again, you know, dance, paintbrushes, poetry, spoken word, all of these different things.
Yes, it's
you know,
like
it's just,
codes and languages.
Yeah.
It's like the codes and languages. And like, if you think of it, like music, that's a language. Dance,
Totally,
that could be
totally.
interpreted as a language in a way,
Totally.
like a body
Language,
language. You know?
Yeah, very much so, man. Awesome, sweet. Well, dude, let's again, thank you for being here. And Jacob,
Yeah.
if before you head out, if you just want to post your Facebook profile into this Google Hangout, and then I can connect with you afterwards, and I'll send you a link for the team Discord server. And you're more than welcome to, you know, even share some of your poetry on there as well, man. I know a lot of people would appreciate reading that again. So yeah, and again, thank you for synchronistically happening to be here, dude. The energy you bring is totally, you know, in synchronization with the energy that we're creating here in the community, and a lot of other people worldwide are tapping into as well. And I think that's a very powerful thing, is that, you know, there's a lot of people out there that are naturally tapping into this idea of, you know, like what we refer to within the context of the Paradigm Shift Central project is like being a shifter, someone who is intentionally helping shift consciousness, or being a light guardian is the other concept that we use. And so there's a lot of people who are really just naturally feeling that natural intuition to step into that. And so again, you know, like our community is just one of many individual nodes and nucleuses and neurons that are starting to interconnect and are starting to fire together. So lo and behold, for those of you who have specifically been tuned into the Paradigm Shift Central project, what's happening here, if it's happening here, that means it is happening in all of us. It is happening in other places. It is rising. And so again, you know, I really encourage people to really go out of their ways to be able to help evoke synchronicity, as I said, to be the portals, to create the conscious community, to inspire people with your conscious media, to tell your stories, to lead by example, to develop yourself, to take time to practice connecting with your intuition, to be of service to the voice that is inside of you, that is like coming out of you for a reason. And that reason is one of self-discovery, self-expression, this journey. And it's also to be able to help make a difference in this world. And again, to continue to be able to like lead all of us back to that place of like deeper cosmic remembrance as we continue to awaken within the dream. So super
Yes.
potent
It
stuff.
is.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
It's like it's like the knowing. It's like you say, it is like a remembrance. It's remembering what you've
Yes.
already known.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's if you ever like came across a piece of information synchronistically and you resonate with it, and it's like, wow, actually, like it's like for
So
a reason. It's
familiar.
because that it's so familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Sweet. Cool. Jacob, is there anything else you want to share? And otherwise we'll get right into the last moment of this broadcast. So
Oh yeah, you can go ahead.
Cool, sweet, awesome, and thank you again, man, and thank you for everyone here for helping, hold space, lead by example. You guys are amazing. For those of you listening into this afterwards as well, I actually just want to just kind of like close this off just with a very short meditation. So let's just take a moment here to connect with our breath and just kind of like integrate and embody what it is that we've been talking about here. So that's very important, that we don't just take all of this knowledge and then just kind of just be like, oh cool, that was entertaining, and then not do anything with it. We need to integrate this information. We need to embody it. We need to develop new patterns and belief systems where it actually holds context to what it is that we're doing within our individual lives and within community and within the context of like the Paradigm Shift Central project and beyond. So and I'll actually practice. I was going to do this, and it's cool that Jacob shared some of his poetry, because I was going to just do some like flowetry on the spot, and yeah, it will be cool just kind of see what comes out in this moment as an example of like allowing intuition to kind of speak through me as us sort of thing. So just invite you all to close your eyes real quick. Just allow yourself to relax. Just roll your shoulders a bit, releasing any tension, straightening up your spine. So in this moment, let's just connect with our breath. Gentle inhales through the nose. Gentle exhales through the nose or the mouth. Continue to breathe with gentle inhales. And as you do this, bringing specific attention to the space in between the inhale and the exhale. This is a very sacred space, and I'm intentionally reminding you to bring your attention to it. So again, gentle inhales. Feel that space. Exhale. And the next time you do that, we're just going to do this just a few more times. I want you to use the space in between your breath to tune your attention to your intuition. I want you to listen to that little voice inside of you. It has a message for you right now. One of compassion, one of love, and one of guidance. And I want you to just be able to hear what the universe is telling you right now. So just take a few moments. I'll stop talking, and then I'll do some flowetry afterwards. So just allowing you to breathe and really be present within the space in between the inhale and the exhale. Continue this. So just continue to breathe here. I'm just going to practice bringing in some of my own intuitive flowetry as an example and as inspiration for the team. And so let the intuition spark, let the synchronicity flow. Allow yourself to remember that no matter where you go, you will always be in that place to be able to receive what you need, to be able to open your eyes, to see what there is that you can truly be. As light guardians and shifters within this dream, you continue to walk down these paths which you have always foreseen, for you exist beyond this moment. You exist as branches of the tree. Lightning strike from up into the earth, from down into the sky, with no actual place in which you need to ask why, but rather you seek the purpose and the reason for this pattern, to understand why it is that we are here to make it happen. And so you are here to open your heart as you bring forth this love with new art. As you let the intuition flow, you allow yourself to grow, you allow yourself to expand into the truth that you do know. For the wisdom has always been within, and it is through the reprogramming that you can allow it to be, that you can allow yourself to truly see that the branches of this tree are expanding and connecting you and me. And so as you bring your breath into your heart, reminding yourself that this is the place in which it all starts. As we open our minds to the bigger story that we are, We anchor in the wisdom that comes down through the stars, and yet the stars shine within. It is the twinkle in our eyes. It is the you, it is the me, it is the us that is the cosmic I. And so I thank you for your actions. I thank you for your love. I thank you for the wisdom that you anchor in from above to help be the change you wish to see, to help be the truth that is here and now, to live the life and to answer the question of what it means to be how, to be of love, to be of service, to be the best that we can do this. And so breathe into your breath, because you are doing your best. And I invite you to open all the twangs within your chest. For the synchronicities are your signs to remind you that you are well on your way, and the intuition is your guide, teaching you that it's okay to listen to that little voice, the you that's bigger than just this now, the us that has always been connected to the bigger story of the wow. And so let the awe open up. Let the eyes expand far and wide. For we are here to awaken. We are the dreamers, far and wide. Take another breath here. Allow any activation sensations within this moment be felt through your breath. And again, just reminding yourself that it's all just practice. And gently, when you're ready, you can open your eyes and turn your awareness to the space around you. And so thank you again, everyone, for being a part of that. That was just practice flow tree. It's like, have I done it more cohesively in the past? Absolutely. Was it still fun? Absolutely. Was it like just practice? That's what I just said. So it's all just practice, guys. It's all just practice. Gotta have fun with it. It's just play, right? So again, you know, it's less about being perfect, and it's more about being able to experience the play, experience the growth. You know, you see that in the difference between an adult who will be anxious to pick up a guitar because their fear of being judged. Yet you'll see a child pick it up and just start making noise right away. We need to tap into that childlike way of being able to approach the world with that, you know, removing the judgment from ourselves, opening ourselves up into that play, opening up into the space where we can allow the intuition and the magic to come through. So again, it's about being childlike, not childish. That's very important. And again, I've said this before, it's about being carefree without being careless. You know, those concepts right there, those are very important. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this. May this broadcast, may this discussion continue to inspire you on your path, continue to assist you on your shift missions of going out there, helping build community, helping create more art, and again, connecting with people where you are and continuing to level yourself up within this real world interactive game to be able to help assist with the shift in consciousness. Go team. Woo! Okay, guys, as we conclude this broadcast, I just want to remind you that we do have a regular Sunday guided meditations at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, again, through Skull Babylon on YouTube or live.paradigmshiftcentral.com. Go to that same website to be able to find all of the MP3s as well as all of the content created by community members such as yourself, including quest journals and conscious articles, and there's going to be a lot more of that coming to you in the future. Be sure to connect with our team Discord chat at tinyurl.com/paradigm shift chat. That's where we hang out during the week. We got a lot going on during in the Discord chat, and again, there's some awesome stuff going there, so if you're not there, be sure to check it out. There's a lot of value there and a lot of just like amazing people to connect with and a community, and we're there to support each other. That's a big thing. We're holding each other accountable to our growth, to you know what it is that we're here to do in that bigger perspective of things, and that is to, you know, step into our power, to step into our potential. And of course, if you haven't yet, be sure to check out the team Patreon. Again, thank you to the Patreon supporters for helping make this project available, the value that we provide to the community. Again, you know, there's some projects out there, and sometimes they'll have like similar things to this, but sometimes you have to pay pay like $30 a month to be able to get involved and everything like that. We at Paradigm Shift, you know, we want people to be able to get involved regardless of where their financial situation is, and the Patreon supporters help make it possible for us to continue to provide this value to everyone. So again, if you're really vibing with what it is that we're creating here, and of course you want to be able to get more involved, if you want to be able to, again, get your Shifter Booster Kit, which is your laminated free hug sign, your shift buttons, which again, like going back to Synchronicity, guys, like these shift buttons are Synchronicity tools, like guaranteed to evoke synchronicity. Like that's why I made them. Like they're not just swag, guys. Like these are tools to hack the matrix with love. And again, each shift button has a Paradigm Shift Central website on the rim. When you sign up for the Shifter Boost, when you sign up for the Patreon, you get your Shifter Booster Kit, your first Shifter Booster Kit, and you can use those to be able to help evoke synchronicity and connect with people where you are. And of course, you also get your very cool Light Guardian crystal, which comes in many different multicolor changing options as well. And again, that is all through the team Patreon. Asking monthly micro donation is just $3 to $10, and you can also order any of those items individually at questitemshop.com, and all the purchases through there directly support the project. And you can also get like the shirts as well through there as well, which again are all meant for evoking synchronicity. So yeah, you want to look cool while like shifting consciousness, but again, it's like it's more about like what looking cool can accomplish, what wearing the buttons can accomplish, and it's about the connections that you're making, the conversations you're starting, the synchronicities you're evoking, the ways in which you are accelerating the shift. That is the game. So inviting you to be able to play along with that. Other than that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man. I post daily inspirational content there, and be sure to check it out if you aren't already. There's a lot of value there as well. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. Paradigm Shift Radio on iTunes, but again, the MP3s are at live.paradigmshiftcentral.com. And if you want to be able to contact me, you can do that through Facebook, but just jump in the Discord, and also the information's in the YouTube info as well. And next week's broadcast will determine the topic a little bit closer. After that, it's going to be Dream Class, and then after that, it's going to be Destiny School. The Destiny School topic that we're going to get to, I'm going to confirm this, but I'm feeling like the topic that we're going to do, which is the last Thursday of the month, which is the last Thursday of November, the topic that I'm leaning towards is going to be the topic of AI and technology of the future. So stay tuned for that, because that's a really exciting one, and that's a really important one. And again, all these topics that we're talking about, like they're there for a purpose. They're integrating us, they're preparing us, they're getting us ready. So stay tuned if you're interested in that one. And yeah, again, be sure to jump on the Discord chat, and that's where I'll be hanging out with you guys during the week as well. And again, if you're a conscious media creator, be sure to synchronize with this project. We want to be able to work with you in creating conscious media and featuring your conscious media. And the conscious media can be your art, your poetry, your YouTube videos, your music. We, within the Paradigm Shift Central project, to give you a better understanding, it's many things to many different people. One of the things it is, you can think of it as a conscious media production company. So work alongside with us. You're welcome to, and as the project evolves, eventually we'll be paying you guys for your contributions. So thank you again to everyone who's already contributing, and thank you again everyone for all your support in many different ways that you do. Simply your attention is so valuable, so thank you for your attention. And again, may you continue to ripple this inspiration further with you out into the world, and continue to be the shift where you are. So thank you so much everyone, and super appreciate it. All right, let's wrap this up, guys. I'm going to bring up the outro music here, and I'm going to bring up your guys' microphones, so drop some love in the comments for those of you on YouTube. For those of you listening afterwards, leave your comments, share this video with your friends, connect more people into the project, let them know what we got going on here. There's some amazing things still coming your way. So I'm bringing up the outro music here, and just unmuting everyone's microphone, and I'll see you guys in the Discord chat. So Jared, Jacob, and Joel, and myself, Brendon, saying goodnight to all the shifters out there. So say goodnight, guys. Make some noise, send some love.
Good night. Love you guys.
Good night,
I love you guys. Thank you
nice
so
talking
much.
to you all.
Go kick some butt. Go
Nice
team.
talking to you all.
Love.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you guys in the Discord chat. Much love, team. Love you guys.
Later.